Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, World Cup money in Seattle is going right down the literal toilets. And do we just fall for Iran's nonsense again? But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
Into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
I'm going to have a little hot take for you right now, which you probably didn't expect me to hear, and some of you are going to get really, really mad about it. Bernie Sanders won the 2016 election. And you're thinking to yourself, no, he didn't. President Trump won the 2016 election. He didn't even win the Democratic primary. Hillary Clinton won the Democratic primary. So why is Ari saying that Bernie Sanders won the 2016 election, and what the hell does that have to do 10 years later? A friend of mine who's very into politics, listens to the show, gave me a call the other day, and we were actually talking about this, where we're just talking about the direction Seattle's going, the direction Washington's going. This friend does not live here. This friend lives in the free state, free America of Florida. Now we're just talking about what's going on out here. He has followed my career with great interest, shall we say. This is a good friend. And we were talking about how Bernie Sanders' messaging is still prevalent today. The messages that Bernie Sanders was pushing about socialism is what the Democrat Party has been dragged over to by their radical base. Bernie Sanders may have lost the primary. He may have lost the primary because of the Democratic superdelegates that handed Hillary Clinton the nomination and handed Trump the election, which, hey, that worked out great for all of us. But in the act of doing that, they literally turned the party over to Bernie Sanders. Look at how these newbies are running in the party. Who can be more and more radical socialist? Who can be more radical Marxist? Who can be more radical communist? Bernie Sanders has not accomplished anything in the 170 years he's been serving in the Senate. He has never had a real job. He was so lazy, he got thrown off a communist commune. That is how lazy he was. And yet his ideology is what the left has fully embraced. Bernie Sanders has produced nothing, sold nothing, done nothing, bought nothing. Just like say anything. I don't want to produce anything bought or sold, sell anything produced or bought. He has not given anything to the world, and yet somehow he has multiple homes. Somehow he's a millionaire. Somehow his phraseology has gone from, I don't want to penalize just the billionaires and the millionaires. Now it's just the billionaires because now I'm a millionaire. The entire left is filled with Bernie Sanders ideology. Anti-Western values, pro-radical lunacy, open borders, socialism, Marxism, communism, you name it, it's just going to get more and more left. That's what Bernie Sanders stood for. When Bernie Sanders was up and coming, this was around the same time BLM was up and coming. So let's use radical race relations to divide the Democrat Party. This is happening across the country, where now, as Speaker Johnson calls them, Mini-Mamdanis are popping up all over the place to challenge more moderate Democrats. A perfect example is what's happening right here in Washington State. So you have Lauren Davis. Lauren Davis is a member of the legislature. Lauren Davis has always been on the not crazy far left, but the pretty progressive left. However, Lauren Davis does come on this show and does want to have conversations with us and is always willing to have the conversations with us. This year, she admitted in an op-ed that a lot of the policies with justice reform she had been championing had not worked. And it was time for a new approach. Well, the left saw blood in the water. Rather than the Democrat Party saying, you know what, we're going to protect somebody who's pretty left, but is calling out a few of these things that haven't worked. Maybe we'll backtrack on some of them. Maybe we'll rethink them because defunding the police isn't popular. Maybe. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to have this guy, Imran Siddiqui, challenge her. Imran Siddiqui is the head of the local chapter of CARE, the Council for American Islamic Relations. CARE are the unindicted co-conspirators in the Holy Land trial, the Holy Land Foundation trial, the largest terror financing trial in U.S. history. CARE was behind a lot of the walkouts from schools that was targeting Jews. CARE is pro-Hamas. CARE has been supporting Hamas for years. CARE was founded in response to the Holy Land Foundation being shut down. They just took over all the donations, and they're all about sending money overseas to Hamas. They're being investigated. You've had Senator Tom Cotton. You've had Greg Abbott. You've had a lot of people calling for CARE to lose its 501c3 and for full investigations into them. I don't know what's stopping the Trump administration from actually doing it. This is a group that is tied up in no good, allegedly. I guess I have to say allegedly, right? Even though we know what's going on here. So now Lauren Davis, a progressive Democrat, is being challenged by Imran Siddiqui, who is literally the local guy who's in charge of this. This guy will sit on any panel he's invited to. If it involves bashing Jews, bashing Israel, bashing anybody who's not in his little cohort, he will do that. Adam Smith. You have Congressman Adam Smith, who has always been one of the more moderate Democrats. He's been dragged to the left a little bit by trying to keep his job. In fact, now he's saying some things that really make me question that. But he will always come on the show when we ask him to. Who's challenging him? Shama Sawant. And her lunatic followers are unhinged, completely unhinged. They show up at his house on a regular basis at 3 o'clock in the morning, bothering his neighbors, bothering lots of other people because they want their way. It got so bad that last week, the city of Bellevue had to actually create a special ordinance against targeted protesting because of what's happening in his neighborhood. You had his neighbors talking about how bad it had gotten. So you have these lunatic Hamasniks who showed up to the Bellevue meeting to talk about how this is how they protest. This is the only way we can find them. Well, you lunatics have disrupted all of his town halls. You want to have a normal conversation with him? Go to his town halls. You might forget that at one of them, one of his staff members was allegedly assaulted by Calvin Priest, who's Shama Sawant's husband. Another one you guys disrupted so bad, I don't know if he even has town halls anymore. You guys cut off that means of communication because you yell and scream until somebody caves. And now the moderate Democrats are being pulled farther and farther and farther to the left, trying not to upset the apple cart, trying to stay in power, trying to keep their jobs, where now some of the things that Adam Smith says, I really question. I go, I can't believe somebody posted that on social media. I can't believe he said that on CNN. But everybody's getting these far left radical challengers. And a couple of years ago, you looked at them and you said, yeah, they're not going to win. But now more and more, you get more and more concerned about it. Do I think Shama Sawant is going to win? No, I don't. Do I think that Imran Siddiqui has a chance against Lauren Davis? Yeah, I do. And that's scary. You think Imran Siddiqui is going to come on the show? You think Imran Siddiqui is interested in anything pro-America when he's a guy who is the local chapter president of a group that supports Hamas? Hamas isn't just a group that wants to destroy Israel. They have said they want to destroy America. You think they're in a good mood now after everything that happened to them? Self-imposed, of course, because they started this fight. Lesson for everybody, don't start fights you can't win and you can't finish. This was the whole thing that they did, but you think they're going to be in a good mood after that? No, of course not. And then you've got the ones who aren't as extreme. You've got the useful idiots. So you've got extremists like Shama Sawant. You've got extremists like Imran Siddiqui. And then you've got morons like Katie Wilson. You now have, and I couldn't believe I saw this in Fox News, Councilmember Rob Saka, Seattle Councilmember Rob Saka, saying, quote, he is gravely concerned after previously praising then Mayor-elect Katie Wilson's energy. Did you not see this coming? I love when people go, oh, it's a more moderate city council. How? What? When? Where? Why? How? How can you possibly say that? Where? Just because they're not far left lunatics aligned with terrorist organizations? According to Fox News, this comes as blue states like Washington and New York face a business exodus in favor of more market-friendly red states. Starbucks, a major player in Seattle's business scene, recently announced a major expansion to Nashville while simultaneously cutting Seattle-based corporate jobs. Oh, by the way, they cut more jobs today, or at least we found out about more jobs that were cut today. We'll have that for you later in the show. Wilson, a self-proclaimed socialist, recently went viral for laughing off the exodus of billionaires and business leaders from her city, saying, "I think the claims that millionaires are going to leave our state are super overblown." Adding, the ones that leave, you know what she said, right? We know exactly what she said.
Like, bye.
Like, bye. Just get out of here. Like, bye. Now, less than 5 months into her turn, Seattle Democratic Councilmember Rob Saka told the New York Times, "I am gravely concerned. This is real." Did you not know what you were getting? She was very clear about this. Defund the police. Socialism. Bad corporations. Tax the rich. Tax the corporations. Tax the wealthy. He previously said the voters have spoken, calling for a change, a renewed focus on affordability, community, and fighting back against a resurgent Trump agenda. He praised the energy she brings to leadership and said he was looking forward to partnering with her to build a thriving, inclusive Seattle that uplifts working families, expands universal preschool for all, ends food deserts, creates a safer, more connected neighborhoods across our city. How's that working out for you? How is that working out for you? Katie Wilson threatened to penalize grocery stores that close down. How many more businesses need to leave our area before you guys get it through your thick skulls that communism and socialism just don't work? Oh, I know. It hasn't been done right yet, right? Hasn't been done right yet. And who's, of course, the king of all these lunatics? Zoran Mamdani. We know that it's Zoran Mamdani. We know that it's Zoran Mamdani. Zoran Mamdani was making his announcement today. This is the poster child for this Bernie Sanders ideology. He was giving a speech today about one of these grocery stores he intends to open. Now, let's not forget, the costs of these things have soared to about $30 million a pop. I was talking with a buddy of mine who's in the grocery store business. And I said, how much does it cost to open a grocery store? Like right today, you got a location. How much does it cost to open a for-profit grocery store? All in. Today, if you want to open a grocery store the size of your grocery store. And he said to me, somewhere about $3 million. For a bigger one, it might go up to $7 million. That's a for-profit grocery store. Zoran Mamdani is spending $30 to $40 million a piece on each of these boondoggles that will close like the ones that have been tried across the country when you do these free grocery stores. And here's something else they're not factoring in with these free grocery stores. Now, if people are getting their groceries for free nearby, they're not buying them at the local Albertsons or Safeway or QFC or Gristedes or Food Emporium or A&P or Stop and Shop or you name your grocery store, your Jewel Osco's. They're not buying them there. They're going to get them from the free place. And if they're getting them from the free place, that means that 1% profit margin that grocery stores operate on is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And this is what Zoran Mamdani's forging ahead with. Now, during his speech today, he said something truly terrifying. And don't take my word for the fact that's terrifying. Take the word of Ronald Reagan, who said that what Zoran Mamdani said, that somebody was going to say it and it would be terrifying. Listen to this clip. It's on the longer side, but you're going to hear the entire agenda exposed in this one clip.
Of city-owned grocery stores, one in each borough. In these stores, prices will be cheaper. Workers will be paid fairly and treated with dignity. Going to the grocery store will no longer cause that same anxiety for so many New Yorkers. Now, on April 13th, we announced the first site, La Marqueta en el Barrio. And in doing so, honoring the legacy of Fiorella LaGuardia, who opened a site close to 100 years prior with the same mission of delivering cheaper goods to New Yorkers. Today, my friends, I am so proud to announce that the Bronx location will be here at the Peninsula.
Why did that grocery store close that Fiorella LaGuardia opened? Oh, right, because this model doesn't work. But sure, push forward.
And New Yorkers will not need to wait long for costs to drop. This store will be the first of the 5 city-run grocery stores to open. Bronx residents will be able to begin shopping here next year. It is going to be a 20,000 square foot location, and its ambition is perfectly placed at the peninsula, which will house 740 units of 100% affordable housing by the time that it's fully built. And as we heard from Jeannie, it'll be located on the site of the former Spofford Juvenile Detention Facility, somewhere that for so many years was synonymous with neglect and mistreatment. This was a place of failure, where young, predominantly low-income New Yorkers were subjected to brutal physical conditions, human rights violations, and physical abuse. We are reclaiming that same site to tell a very different story. This store and the peninsula as a whole will serve as physical proof of our conviction that government can be a force for good, that government can drive change that improves people's lives. And standing here this morning, I cannot help but think of the words of our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. He famously said, "The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, 'I'm from the government and I'm here to help.'" It's a good quote, but I disagree. I think 9 more terrifying words are actually, "I worked all day and can't feed my family." We are going to use the power of government to lower prices and make it easier for New Yorkers to put food on the table. When government understands its purpose as serving the very working people that it has left behind time and again, it can make a difference.
So you're literally saying I'm from the government and I'm here to help? How is that working out for New Yorkers? Let's go with your little plan for a second here. A regular grocery store starts between $3 and $7 million to get up and running. You're spending $30 to $40 million on each grocery store using a failed model that has failed multiple times before and shut down multiple times before. You want to open 5 of these things. That's $150 million minimum. So you've just blown $150 million when New York City has a budget problem on something that is going to fail, that's not going to help anybody, and in the process is going to hurt other local grocery stores. And by hurting the other local grocery stores and blowing that much money, do you know what happens? Now you have to go to the very people you said you were trying to help and take more tax money to pay off your stupidity. That's the plan. This isn't a bug. This is a feature. So when I say Bernie Sanders won the 2016 election, his ideology did because it captured the entire Democratic Party. Because the Zoran Mamdani and the Katie Wilsons of the world looked at that ideology and said, now is our chance. We were seen as the weird kids in the corner. We were seen as the radicals on the college campuses. But now is the time we can push forward our agenda. If we paint it like the Democratic Party stole the nomination, and we're the real Democratic Party, and we're the real activists behind it, and we make them afraid of us, and we defund the police, and we work on taxing the rich, and we use all these other buzzwords like Black Lives Matter, we can ride this agenda to the top. And look how successful they were. Look how successful they were. That now you've got the ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee, Adam Smith, congressman from Washington, sounding more and more and more like Shama Sawant. And that's exactly what they planned. This is what they have now. You have to swear fidelity. You have to swear allegiance to them, or else they're going to show up at your house every night at 3 a.m. Unless they're going to yell and scream and primary you. Unless they're going to put somebody more radical up there than you, because you are not carrying out their agenda. Bernie Sanders' ideology won in 2016, and is a terrifying one. It has failed. It has cost millions of lives around the world. The question now is, can we combat it? Can we push back against it and make sure that it goes into the dustbin of history where it belongs? I know a lot of you want to weigh in on this, and we will take your calls right after the break, and also tell you how our socialist mayor is literally flushing more good money down the toilet. Tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just want to let everybody know that coming up at 4 o'clock today, that's 4 o'clock, we have a brand new contest where you listen for the keyword. We give you the keyword for your chance to win tickets to Bingo Loco at the Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. We'll give you more details on this throughout the show, but remember, your chance to win comes up at 4 o'clock today. We go to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from Carrie in Kent. Carrie, what's going on?
Hi, Ari. I live in the 9th Congressional District, and apparently we've got 2 Democrats and 2 crazy communists and 1 sane person. I just want to remind everyone you do have a choice for a pro-business conservative Republican, and that is Doug Bassler. So if you don't want these communists, and I've been hearing Adam Smith get more and more crazy. I've heard him actually call us Nazis and white supremacists, which really irritates me because I am neither. And he's just taken on that rhetoric that the crazy left has taken on, and he is no longer moderate. So in my opinion, of course, I am a Republican, but the only choice in the 9th Congressional District is Doug Bassler.
You know me. You know I love Doug, right? What I'm just worried about is we have this army of Democrat money, we have this army of Democrat fundraising, and we have this army of psychopaths. And here's the thing, is that where's the GOP? I mean, Carrie, look, you and I have had these discussions before.
Yeah.
Where's the GOP? And also something else. So I've been working on recruiting candidates. The problem I've been having with recruiting candidates is every candidate lives in a red district where we already have a safe seat. The candidates that stepped up were ready to go head-to-head with other Republicans, and because they're new to this, they don't know who's their person or not. And the problem is that nobody stepped up in the districts to go against Sean Scott. Nobody stepped up to go against those kind of Democrats. And we got a real problem here in Washington because I don't see anybody recruiting anybody. I mean, Carrie, how did you and I meet? You and I met because I said, I've had enough of these problems. I'm running for office. That's what happened.
Yes.
Right?
I listened to you, and I loved what you had to say.
Thank you.
I didn't know you, but I said, I like this guy. We got to elect him.
Thank you. Now, it didn't work out that well, but I would say I won in hindsight because where's Tammy Morales these days? And I got a radio show. But the problem we have now is how many other people are stepping up. I know there's a lot of frustrated people. I know there's people helping with Let's Go Washington, which is wonderful. I know there's people helping with the initiatives, which is wonderful. I know there's people stepping up to donate, which is wonderful. But we really needed people to step up to run. And though we had a bunch of great KVI listeners who stepped up, unfortunately, it was for the safe districts. And so we didn't get the ones I really wanted. And how many people out there are going to volunteer to go head-to-head with these lunatics?
Exactly. Well, and the thing is, if Sawant actually makes any headway, I can tell you right now, the unions hate her guts. I mean, I'm sure you remember when they were screaming no head tax, and she was saying, comrades, please listen. And they wouldn't even let her speak. That's how much they hate her. So, I'm hoping that the unions that want to keep their jobs here and don't want to lose businesses to these other states that are more sane will get behind the pro-business candidate, and that's Doug Bassler.
I would hope for the same thing, but look around, Carrie. I mean, we know what happens, right? They all go, well, at least she's Democrat adjacent, so we're going to back her rather than that evil Republican. That's what I'm concerned about. Carrie, have Doug be in touch. I'll come out for one of his events.
Do.
I love doing that.
Okay, great.
All right, I'll talk to you later, Carrie.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. This one here from Jeff in Kent. He says, when the communist grocery stores fail, it'll be blamed on the conservatives by the communist mayor. It'll be blamed on Trump. It'll be blamed on tariffs. It'll be blamed on everything. Just watch. Susan says, are there no Republicans in any races running against these leftist candidates? Well, Susan, you just heard what Carrie said. Basically, Carrie summed it up, is that there are some Republicans running these races, but they are really, really behind the eight ball in terms of support. And some of these races, like I pointed out, are uncontested. Sean Scott, the socialist who was behind the income tax, is running unopposed for the Washington state legislature, which is outrageous. We go back to the KVI studio line, take a call from Rob in Mount Vernon. Rob, what's going on?
I sent you a short video about an hour ago. It was before you came on the air, and I was just wondering, I actually emailed it to you, Ari, at kvi.com. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if you might have a chance to watch it when you get to your break.
Maybe. So I can't actually watch videos during my break. It's a weird setup here where I can't hear what they're doing.
Well,
I can't do it while it's a weird setup here, but I will watch it after the show, okay? I will watch it after the show. When you send me something an hour before the show, that's when I'm busy getting all my sources and all my audio, and that's when I'm not really checking my email that much.
Okay, it's very timely for the discussion that we're having today about Mamdani and the whole Muslim thing. And I'd like to tell you what my email is, but I don't want that on the air.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, Rob. I will check it out, okay? I will check it out this evening, hopefully, and we'll get back to you, okay?
It's coming from PM.
Wait, Rob, you don't want to give me your personal information on the air. You don't want to do that. Bad people sometimes are listening, and then they have your email address. You don't want to do that, okay?
That's all.
Okay. Appreciate the call.
We'll be able to figure it out.
There you go. Appreciate it. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Switching gears over to more bad ideas that are had here by the socialist fools that are running our city. We talked about this a little bit last week. Katie Wilson released her plan for these new World Cup toilets, these new portable toilets that they are going to be putting in these smart toilets, these solar-powered toilets that are going in near the stadiums for $116,000 a pop. $116,000. Now, just to give you some perspective here, Viet Q Win, who used to be involved in government stuff and now on social media does a stellar job pointing out the stupidity of this. He said this. He was talking about how Seattle's new Pioneer Square toilets cost $9,700 a month. Each are $250 versus $250 a month with public cleaning for just general honey buckets. You could have brought those in like they do for any concert, any festival, any event, but they're paying $465,000 a year for 4 Throne Lab solar units with running water, heat, and daily cleaning. Maybe if we shifted over to something else, it would likely be a lot cheaper for the porta potty. A lot cheaper for the porta potty. Just a thought. Let's throw that out there for a second. Just a little bit cheaper than that. He's got all the numbers here. So basically, it's going to be just a few $100 a month for the porta potty. And you guys are dropping mega bucks on this. If only we could have tried this somewhere before and seen if this could work. Or, oh, wait, we did do this 20 years ago. Actually, now it's more like 25 years ago. When did I get married? Okay, so I got married in 2003. And those bathrooms were operational in Pioneer Square. I know because we had some drinks at a bar and I had to use one of them and it was horrifying. I did use it. It was horrifying. And they ended up getting rid of those suckers, which they had spent $5 million on, and selling them on eBay for pennies on the dollar for these things they had bought. Now we're going to do the exact same thing. The exact same thing. Oh, we're only spending $4 million on these units, so I guess it's better that way, right? Only $4 million. It'll be fine. And they're a rental. It'll be fine. It'll work out perfectly fine. Literally flushing money down the toilet. But the thing I laughed hardest about, the photo op. You know how last week we told you that Katie Wilson was redoing her staff, maybe to avoid some gaffes, maybe to avoid some mistakes? They had a toilet paper cutting ceremony for the portable toilets. And you have, cute, funny, but you have Katie Wilson, Rob Saka. Who else was up there? A bunch of these fools, right? Teresa Mosqueda, all cutting the toilet paper in front of these stupid bathrooms that we're going to do this again. Yeah, congratulations. None of you guys were in office the first time we did this stupidity. Socialist toilets just haven't been done right yet.
You know who you missed off that list?
Who's that?
Turd Ferguson.
He's not in the picture.
I know.
He's not in the picture.
And perfect. I mean, turds is what it's all about.
That's what, flush the turd. By the way, that should be the campaign in 2028 against Bob Ferguson.
Flush the turd.
Flush the turd. Somebody needs to make bumper stickers for flushing the turd. By the way, Kevin, he's got a smart comms guy, which is why he wasn't there for that photo op. He was there for other photo ops. You know, anywhere I go, people want to talk about Bob Ferguson. They call him Turd Ferguson to me. His common guy, no fool that one. He goes, wait, if we put him in front of an outhouse in downtown Seattle, Hoffman's just going to put that on a T-shirt or something. That's what's going to happen. Oh,
well,
yeah.
He was sorely missed.
Last night I'm at this bat mitzvah, and they have a photo booth at the bat mitzvah, and they have a big foam hat. And I go, no, shut your face, a big foam hat. So I said to the photo booth people, lovely people, by the way, I said, you mind if I borrow that for a few minutes? And I just went walking around the room to different people, and they go, hey, look, it's Turd Ferguson.
Oh, it was you said a big foam hat. Was it like a turd emoji phone?
No. It's the big foam hat from the Saturday Night Live skit where they just go, it's Turd Ferguson, because he goes,
right.
Turd Ferguson, funny name.
Yeah.
I found a funny hat backstage. Turd Ferguson, funny name. Lots more to discuss. As the show continues, my friends, did we just fall for Iran's nonsense again? I think we may have. And I got some questions about the whole situation. We'll explain when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. All right, people are going to call me a warmonger after this one, but guys, I'm tired of waiting for the Iranian regime. These guys were able to stall for 47 years. 47 years. At what point do you say it's time to cut bait? Especially where the average American is turning against the war because they see it as responsible for their gas prices. Look, I went to fill up the other day. And luckily, I'm driving a car I got from my friends over at Renton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, which is pretty fuel efficient, even though it's the new Charger they got. It still growls. It still is awesome, but it's pretty fuel efficient. So this is the first time I've had to fill up in like 2 weeks or something. So I go to fill that sucker up, $105. I didn't even put premium in it. $105. Now, I'm okay paying that. Not because radio money pays such good money, but I'm okay paying it because I know the price of taking out Iran, it's going to cost a little bit. But the average American doesn't listen to the Ari Hoffman show. The average American just goes, there's a war in Iran, my gas is more expensive, my groceries are more expensive, everything else is more expensive, and hey, the midterms are coming up. Now, political courage is President Trump staying the course. Now, if you told me staying the course meant bombing the hell out of them, okay, I'm fine with that. But now something new has happened. President Donald Trump announced today that the United States is holding off on a planned attack on Iran that had been scheduled for Tuesday, citing what he described as serious negotiations involving key Middle Eastern allies. Quote, I've been asked by the Emir of Qatar, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, and the President of the United Arab Emirates to hold off on our planned military attack of the Islamic Republic of Iran, which was scheduled for tomorrow. In that serious negotiations are now taking place that, in their opinion, as great leaders and allies, a deal will be made, which will be acceptable to the United States of America, as well as all countries in the Middle East and beyond. The deal will include, importantly, no nuclear weapons for Iran. Based on my respect for the above-mentioned leaders, I've instructed Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, Chairman of the General Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Raising-Cane, and the United States military that we will not be doing a scheduled attack on Iran tomorrow, but have further instructed them to be prepared to go forward with a full, large-scale assault of Iran at a moment's notice in the event the acceptable deal is not reached. Now, here's my problem. The UAE, I trust them. I do trust them. I do. I really do at this point. The Qatar and the Saudi Arabia, I don't trust them so much. I don't trust them at all, as a matter of fact. Qatar only has the best interests of Qatar in mind. And Saudi Arabia, look, I know you guys are like edging closer towards peace all the time, but until you actually do it, you guys are still Saudi Arabia. Now, if some great deal is going to come out of this, where they go to Iran and they say, look, he's serious, and then they say, okay, no nuclear weapons, we're opening the Strait of Hormuz, and we're going to stop being terrorists, then fine. But if this is going to be one of these things where Qatar says, no, we got it. No, thank you. No, thank you. Qatar is committed to terror. Qatar is committed to destroying America, no matter how many camels they send out for President Trump and how many airplanes they send to President Trump. I am very, very skeptical because Qatar is involved. You may disagree with me. Look, do I want not to have to bomb anybody and want peace? Absolutely. But I'm very, very skeptical when somebody like Qatar is involved. And then I get more skeptical when I see this tweet from Scott Bessent, the U.S. Treasury Secretary. He says the U.S. Treasury is issuing a 30-day general license to provide the most vulnerable nations with the ability to temporarily access Russian oil currently stranded at sea. This extension will provide additional flexibility as we work with these nations to provide specific licenses as needed. The general license will help stabilize the physical crude market and ensure oil reaches the most energy vulnerable countries. It will also help reroute existing supply to countries most in need by reducing China's ability to stockpile discounted oil. So now we're letting people buy Russian oil, which means Russia's going to have more money for their nefarious activities. I'll tell you what, guys, talk me down. Talk me down. I don't like what I'm seeing here. I really, really don't. And I call them like I see them. You want to talk me down? You give me a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757, because this isn't what I was looking for. Not at all. Now, 2 or 3 days from now, If this all works out, I may come back online and say, hey, this was great, and look how it worked out, and I doubted it, and it worked out fine. I am very, very skeptical of this. And the longer this drags on for, the longer there's more, we got a deal this time, the longer it means that regime's in place, the longer it means they're a threat, the longer it means we have high gas prices, the longer it means we're dragging into election season. I am very, very concerned. But you disagree with me, you set me straight. Give me a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Something else I'm very concerned about is the future of the James Bond franchise. Apparently, it is being taken in a different direction, and it's not having a female 007. Tell you what's going on when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. So last night, my family was invited to a bat mitzvah. Now, Seattle, we don't usually have the mega bat mitzvahs you've been to or you see on TV or you see in the movies. They're usually much more low-key. But this one, mega mitzvah. That's what this was. And also, my favorite part, it's the caterer who Democrat politicians keep stopping me from eating. And I'm like, there ain't going to be any Democrat politicians at this thing. So I could get my lamb burger, I can get whatever. Dude, I ate myself stupid. My diet set back a week, if not two. I will tell you what I had at this bar mitzvah. It was epic. So first, there's the Middle Eastern table. Okay, you name it, Middle Eastern meats and kebabs, and it was amazing. Then there's the Southern table with the fried chicken, and it was incredible. And then I sit down and I'm happy, I'm eating all my food. And my buddy sits down at the table next to me. He's like, and he has a plate of Chinese food. And I'm like, where'd you get that from? And he goes, there's a Chinese station. I go, there's a Chinese station. So little piggy Ari Hoffman goes running back to get the Chinese food before the Chinese food is gone. Now, before this, there were hors d'oeuvres, and at the hors d'oeuvres, they had the little hot dogs, and they had the sausages, and they had the sushi, and I barely even drank at this thing. I was so busy eating myself stupid. It was amazing. But it was also at the Hyatt Regency in Renton. Now, if you know the Hyatt Regency, very nice hotel, lovely place, but it's where we had that Future 42 event last year, right on the water. where we went out there to broadcast from there. You didn't come. You were here behind while I went out there to broadcast.
Oh, is it down by the landing?
Yeah, it's
somewhere?
right over there by the landing. It's across from the landing. It's right on Lake Washington. It's beautiful. During the summer, I take the boat over there and I tie up and they have drinks and they have other stuff and we like going out with friends or the kids or whatever. So I took the boat last night. Now, I figured this would be fun for my wife and fun for my daughter. Hey, let's pull up in style to the bat mitzvah. We'll take the bat boat to the bat mitzvah. We'll do all this. It'll be great. It'll be fun. Now, the problem is Ari Hoffman had some things going on yesterday. So I had the Let's Go Washington event and the boat's been in, like wrapped up and sealed up. Shut down mode. And I'm like, but I really want to do this. So I finished the Let's Go Washington event. We'll talk about the Let's Go Washington event later in the show. And I go running down to the boat and I'm like, oh my God, this is disgusting.
You're hustling to make it work and you didn't realize it was going to be that much work.
Exactly. So what happens? I go down to the boat. I promise I have a point in all this. I go down to the boat and I'm like, oh my God, it's so bad. I don't have rags on me. So I go to the trunk of the Charger and I pop the trunk. I'm like, what do I got? And I don't know. There must have been some change of clothes I had in there from some event I did that I didn't use. I'm like, screw it. I'm just using all this. So I'm scrubbing down the boat and I'm pulling the covers off and I'm making sure it's all in good shape. I get all the spiders off and everything. I'm like, all right, this is acceptable. It's not good. Next Sunday is going to have to be Boat Sunday, but this is good enough so that my wife and daughter will not freak out that their dresses and everything are going to get dirty. I mean, there was a lot of, you sit here, but don't sit there. There was a lot of that. Plus, you also don't want to show up in a thing covered in mildew. That's just gross. Anywho, get on the boat, and my wife and my daughter say to me, Ari, you got to go slow because of our hair. Okay. Normally, I put on a little kickstart my heart. I rev that sucker up and we just go, but now I got to go really, really slow. But I'm in my suit. I got my white shirt. I got my black pants. I got my nice shoes. And that's not normally how I'm on a boat. Usually I'm on cruddy shorts and cruddy shoes and whatever, or Tevas. All right. And we're going. And while we're going, I'm like James Bond. I got my wife on the boat and like we're cruising out to a fancy affair.
It's
and
like you're in a tuxedo while you're running the boat.
I'm like, this is great. I swear, I just make radio money, by the way. Okay. I borrow the boat from my father-in-law. Anyway, driving along, I said to my wife, I'm like, get some video. I'm like, James Bond. This is awesome. This is James Bond. And I'm all thrilled about this. And then I read this article. Okay.
All of that for this.
All that for this. And then I read this article here from the Post Millennial. We were worried about James Bond becoming Jamie Bond and maybe being a girl, which the last movie tried to head fake you with that. They go, we've got a female 007. It's just because he retired and they got the girl to take his number. And that was nonsense. And that last movie was terrible. I did not like Rami Malek. So creepy and so weird, but so misused. And that is not the guy who kills James Bond. Sorry, spoiler alert.
I didn't mind it. And I'm not a Bond guy, so I didn't mind it. I thought it was an okay end to that version of Bond, but I've been told by many of you, is there a term for people who like Bond? Bond heads or something?
Bondies? There's no term. I don't think there is.
There should be. You'd think there would be at this point.
Oh, I think it's just called men.
Oh, okay. Because I know the big thing was, spoiler alert, everyone.
Yeah.
He died.
He dies.
Bond doesn't die.
Right.
He never dies.
Right. And, I sat through all the credits to see at the end of that sucker if the James Bond will return is at the end. And yes, it is. And I'm like, I guess he's not dead then. Okay, we're just going to reboot this sucker again. Whatever.
Because, I mean, Mike used to run me through and kind of give me how from franchise to franchise, the Bond thing does. It doesn't really take off where the last one left off, but sometimes they mention it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they pretend it does.
Yes.
Sometimes they do callbacks for the new version of Bond. That was a thing that happened in another of the other Bonds. So it's like, it's kind of all over the map with that stuff. Right?
Yes, it is. So for example, in The Living Daylights, which is Timothy Dalton, they reference his dead wife from On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is like two Bonds later, right?
So and at some points they're like, yep, this is the same guy as that guy. And at other points it's like, nope, not. This is the new version.
Right. Yeah. So Daniel Craig, new version, he's separate from everybody. Like Pierce Brosnan, Roger Moore, what's his face? George Lazenby and Sean Connery. You can make the argument they're all the same James Bond. I wouldn't, But you can make that argument. They have the same Q, they have the same M, they have the same everything. You can make that argument.
But again, I've gone over. I can't believe we're litigating this on air. But also, isn't there a car that's a callback to one of the old Bond movies that's in the Daniel Craig?
Yes, but they do a good job of explaining why it's there. So we're okay with that.
Okay. All right.
I can be okay with that.
Okay.
All right. But it sounds like somebody's trying to junk everything we know about James Bond. It's not going to be replaced with a girl. It may be replaced with a James Bond who likes other Jameses. That's the new. So
right.
This is the new concern, which we never even thought about beforehand. Now, as I say all the time, Ana de Armas going off and doing her own thing and being in the John Wick action movie thing, that was fine because she's going off and kicking butt, and that was fine.
That kind of sucked though, because we talked about that. We liked her in. She was in one of the Bond movies, right?
We liked her in the Bond movie. Yeah. She was in the most recent one.
So like, have that character go off and go on her adventures. But no, what we got was this very brooding, angry, whatever that Wick character that she was. That was just kind of like any of those characters, like
the ballerina.
Black Widow, the ballerina. It was just like Black Widow or any of that stuff where it's like she's been trained to be soulless and a killing machine and all this stuff. Give me that, whatever the character was that was in that Bond movie where she was kind of funny and light on her feet and all that stuff.
We like that.
Like, let's do that.
Now, mind you, I liked the ballerina movie. I did like it.
I know you
but
did.
It was nothing, as you say. We've seen the Black Widow. We've seen all that kind of stuff. I want to see the character from the Bond movie with her.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, I still want a James Bond. If you have Ana de Armas Bond, I would have been like, okay, it's a nice spinoff. My daughter will like it, and I'll go with her, and I'll happily watch it, plus because it's Ana de Armas.
Yeah.
Anywho, so LGBTQ Magazine Out is pitching a bunch of actors that identify as transgender and non-binary who could perfectly play James Bond in the next 007 movie. Now, clearly something like this is done for the clicks so that people like me will get mad about it and discuss it on air. But there's some Hollywood executive who's going, wait a minute, we can get that group in on this just like we do with that Star Trek Discovery business. That's the problem.
So I didn't read this. I did see that there was some stuff making the rounds, but again, I'm not the biggest Bond guy, so I didn't really click on it or pay attention to it. So are they saying that the actor that they want to get in real life is into the Jameses, or are they talking about the character actually being?
Great question. I'm not sure. And the reason I'm not sure is because of who they're pitching. Here we go. Elliot Page, formerly known as Ellen Page, who went through the full deal. So now you're going to say, okay, it's a dude playing James Bond who's into the girl. My head exploded.
Okay, first of all,
that's
just a horrible Bond.
I agree with you.
Horrible. Like,
I
not
agree
even.
with you. It's like having Kate Boswell's Lois Lane in that other Superman movie. It just don't work.
But I'm even saying, like, that's just aesthetic-wise, not the look of Bond.
But that's who they're pitching. Now, for me, if you have multiple spinoffs of one thing, I could deal with your woke Star Trek because I got my regular Star Trek. I got my other Star Trek. I could do that. But if you're going to redo the whole franchise like this, no, absolutely not. Nobody's going to watch it, and Amazon's going to flush it down the toilet. Up next, my friends, your chance to win fantabulous prizes. Plus also Starbucks firing a lot more people than we originally thought. We'll give you all the details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, more illegals doing absolutely horrible things. And we have terrorists right here in Washington, and nobody's doing anything about it. But before we get to any of that, my friends, it is your chance to win fantabulous prizes. Today, we are giving away a pair of tickets to Bingo Loco at the Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Now, some of you may not know what Bingo Loco is. Let me tell you what Bingo Loco is. It's an interactive stage show which takes the concept of bingo and switches it on its head by turning it into a whole immersive party. It features comedians that'll have you laughing, DJs playing the best 90s and 2000 music, prizes ranging from holidays and musical instruments, mounds of confetti showers, dance-offs, you name it. It's a whole to-do. It's pretty awesome. So, this is going to be a lot of fun, and if you like bingo, it's even better.
And if you go to their website, they actually have a video of this going down with all kind of an example of what it is. It looks really fun.
I will tell you this. When they first pitched me on the Bingo Loco, I didn't know what the Bingo Loco was. It's like the bananas, right? It's like the Savannah Bananas or the Harlem Globetrotters of bingo. with more music and more confetti and more stuff. So I'm not a bingo guy, but I look at this and I go, "Hey, sweetie, you want to go to the Bingo Loco? Because this looks like a lot of fun, the Bingo Loco." Anyway, if you want to win tickets to the Bingo Loco, here's what you got to do. It's a text contest. So I'm going to give you the keyword. You text in the keyword for your chance to win tickets to the Bingo Loco. Today's keyword is lucky. As in, I would be so lucky to win tickets to go to the Bingo Loco. As in, I know somebody with a dog named Lucky. Text the word lucky, L-U-C-K-Y, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757 for your chance to win the tickets to the Bingo Loco. Now, if you don't win, you go to snowcasino.com. That's S-N-O casino.com for your chance to buy, or not your chance, your opportunity to buy tickets. You can buy tickets at snowcasino.com. Head on over there to do that. Well, today, I decided to go on a walk for a little bit, and as I'm walking around, I get a text from a friend of mine, and I look at the text, and it goes, "Starbucks laying off more workers." I go, "Shut your face." I walk out of the newsroom for 2 minutes. Actually, it was more like half an hour. I walk out of the newsroom for half an hour, and I miss that Starbucks is laying off more people. Remember on Friday, what was the number they gave us? 62 or 59. 59 or 62, right? That was the number? Yeah, we're just laying off 59 people. No problem. Well, when you file all the paperwork you have to file with the worker adjustment and retraining notification with the Washington State Employment Security Department, the problem is eventually you get the real number. So Friday they filed, here's how many people were laying off, and we all thought it was 59 or 62 or whatever it was. I'm like, that's a really small number. Are you sure about that? Because there's not that many people working over there. 252. 252 people in the main HQ. Well, most of them are in the main HQ. A company spokesperson said that the new filing includes remote employees from across the country who report to managers assigned to Starbucks HQ in Seattle and therefore tagged to the Seattle Support Center. The layoffs are expected to begin July 17th and continue through February 1st, according to the filing. So it's not 59 people or 62 people. It's 252 people. They say there's a broad range of impacted corporate positions, including directors, vice presidents, finance analysts, product managers, legal staff, project managers, and operations personnel. You know what operations personnel means? It means the janitors. It means whoever's cleaning up after everybody else. If you're getting rid of your operations personnel, then guess what, my friends? You are out of here. You are gone. Bye-bye. Sayonara. See you later. That hasta la vista, baby. That is what's happening. They said all affected employees are receiving at least 60 days notice and that the separations will be permanent. So I got a little question here. A little smidgen of a question. You're hiring 2,000 people in Nashville. but you're laying off a whole bunch of people here. Hiring a bunch of people in Nashville, laying off a whole bunch of people here. Yeah, they're not moving to Nashville. No, of course not. If you believe that, I see 2 cargo vessels and a cruise ship out in the bay right now, and I will sell them to you for a 3-for-1 deal if you act now. That's right. Give me your best offer. Whoever gives me your best offer, I will sell them to you. I have the authority to sell you those 3 ships out there, including the cruise ship. Now, I don't know what's on the cargo vessels. One of them looks fully loaded, and the other one looks like it's already been unloaded. So you just get an empty boat. But the other one is like Storage Wars. In fact, I think that's a car carrier, but it looks like it's leaving. I don't know if it's got anything on it or it's out of here to go get more. But that cruise ship, you could have some fun with that. You could bring back Huntavirus. Yeah, I promise you, it does not have Huntavirus on it that I know of. I will make you that deal right now if you believe that Starbucks isn't actually leaving Seattle. You and I both know that they are. We know this. We know this. They can deny this as long as they want. My guess is they deny it through 2030. You know why I think they deny it through 2030? Because in 2030, that is when their lease is up on their building. And then that's just, okay, bye. Like, bye. I think that's when that happens. Everybody's worried about more and more companies leaving Seattle. Everybody's worried about more and more people leaving Seattle. And you know what? This isn't just something that's happening here. These are jobs that are leaving Washington State. Same thing's happening in New York. Same thing's happening in California. And we're too dumb to avoid it. Instead, Democrats here say, yeah, you know what? Let's do those. We could do it right here. Right? We could do it right. Socialism never been done right before, but here we can do it right. Let's chase away all these companies. So over the weekend, I was hanging out with my friends over at Let's Go Washington. Let's Go Washington had the kickoff to the signing to repeal the income tax. Now, a lot of you saw the pictures. A lot of you saw the videos on social media, but you didn't read what I wrote at the top of the page, which said, if you couldn't make it today, here's how you can sign the petition. I know everybody wants one of these things there near their house. I know, like in-person voting, you want to show up, you want to get a picture with Ari Hoffman, and you want to sign that thing and give it and feel like you're making a difference. I know, guys, but unfortunately, I can't be everywhere in the States, okay? There's only so many of these signing things we can do before July 4th. We will do more, I promise, but don't roll the dice and wait for me to show up. Okay? There will be more events. There will be more stuff. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to letsgowashington.com. On Let's Go Washington, they will mail you an initiative sheet. They will do that. And you can drop it off with Let's Go Washington, or you can drop it off at one of the signing events, or you can mail it back. You can mail it back. In fact, Kevin, I brought a whole stack to the office today. For all the people here who want to sign against the initiative, I brought a whole stack here to the office to get them for my friends, now that I already signed the thing. So what was awesome was that sometimes we do these things for the other initiatives and you get a big crowd, and sometimes you get a moderate crowd, and sometimes you get a small crowd. Just depends what's going on in the world. Yesterday, busy day. But there was a steady flow of people from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. There was a steady flow of people. More people were coming afterwards. There were people there before I even got there yesterday. People really want to repeal this thing. And I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to say what sectors they're in. But a few people came up to me and they go, Ari, I'm getting red-pilled because of this. You know, I used to think you were a crazy, raving lunatic, but now I see you were right. And this income tax, they're just going to pass it on all of us, and we got to solve this. We got to stop this. We got to do something about it. And it was very pleasant. Now, given all the drama last week with Let's Go Washington, where basically you had the Seattle Times put a big bullseye on their backs alleging PDC violations, all of it is complete nonsense. You would think that with them and Brandy Cruz there, that there was going to be a bit of a to-do. There was security there, don't get me wrong, but it's Bellevue. You know, that kind of stuff doesn't happen in Bellevue. The crazies can't get away with their nonsense like they do out in Seattle in Bellevue. However, there was one Looney Tune at this event who showed up later. And let me give you a little backstory to this. So many of you who drive around Washington, you know that on Sundays, usually on the overpass of Main Street over at 405, that's in Bellevue, you usually see a whole bunch of Palestinian flags. Somebody puts them up in the morning. They're usually gone by the afternoon. Because you're not allowed to vandalize city property. You're not allowed to hang things off a bridge. You don't get to do that. But every Sunday, the same group of crazies goes out there and does it. Now, this was just a few blocks away from where we were, just a few blocks away. In fact, I didn't even notice it because I didn't go that way. So when I got there, somebody pointed out and go, Ari, do they know you're here? And they set up all the Palestinian flags over there just to tick you off. I hadn't even noticed. Somebody pointed it out to me. And then I said, I wonder if any of them are going to come over here afterwards. I was just kind of wondering because I know they follow my social media accounts and I've been pushing this thing a lot. And I was just wondering if they were coming over. Well, what do you know? This one SUV comes over. I'm like, that SUV looks familiar. And I see this recognizable woman. I'll leave it at that without demeaning her look or anything. I'll just leave it as recognizable. Gets out of the vehicle wrapped in a keffiyeh. And I say to the security guards right away, I go, she ain't here to sign the initiatives. I know who that is. She is not well, shall we say, and is likely here to cause problems because she has caused problems before and police have had to be called before. So this woman goes wandering through the crowd doing this.
Although you probably don't even have a job, so.
Pay income taxes.
Okay. Not one who's really, I guess, very, very vocal. I mean, not vocal is not the right word. Very eloquent. She was just like, we should all pay income tax. You should pay income taxes. And just filming everybody with her cell phone as she walked around. And then she turns to me and said something I cannot play on the radio. She said, oh, look, it's Ari Hofblanker. Shall we just say it that way? Now, I didn't capture that moment, but I was worried a little bit of the audio caught it, and I didn't want to get in trouble with the FCC, so we don't have that on there. But she apparently does not like me very much. I've never met this woman before in my life. She's clearly just seen what I say about her and others on social media. And shall we just say she knew why I was there and whatever. Anywho, so this Looney Tune comes on over to yell at people. Aside from that, it was lovely. She was there for maybe 2 minutes. But you know what? She saw that she was clearly outnumbered because there were tons of people there. She saw there were multiple security guards there. So she just walked out, yelled a little bit, got back in the car, and drove away. That was it. Congratulations, you did it. You freed Palestine. You did it. Wait, it's free? Do we get 2 of them? Can we do that? I'm sorry. Was that too stereotypical of me? Yeah, you freed Palestine. Did you do it? Are they free right now? Did you do it? Did you accomplish anything? This lady has a history of problems with law enforcement. In fact, just a few months ago, somebody told me, Ari, you got to file a public disclosure request. And I said, what for? And they go, this lunatic woman was actually assaulting people and using racial slurs. And I said, shut up. Really? They really went that? The progressive left really went that far? Don't take it from me. There was a black property manager of a building nearby, who apparently this woman vandalized the building with stickers or something and then threw the garbage from the stickers at her, allegedly, when she said, can you please not vandalize my building? Now, the part of this you're going to hear is I filed a public disclosure request for the police body camera footage. That's what this is, the police body camera footage. I cut out all the stuff of the police officers listening to everybody's version of it, except for this, which is the property manager who said this is what this Looney Tune woman did.
She needs to be arrested for assault. She threw trash at me and she was calling me a
Okay. When did she throw a trash at you?
It's all in front of my property, inside my building. She came into my facility and threw trash at me.
Okay. What trash? It's okay.
All
It's
her
okay.
sticker wrappers. It's still there. I didn't even pick it up yet to show proof.
She threw the stickers at you?
The sticker wrappers.
Here, come talk to me.
So the 2 words you can't hear are, she really likes the F-bomb, apparently. So she used that, and then she used the N-word on the black employee, allegedly. So that's what the black property manager is saying at that point. The left is so tolerant, aren't they? So they came on out, threw a few insults at me, and a few months ago threw a few insults at this, and we've heard her say far, far worse. But I'll tell you something, guys. That was it. That was it. No threats, no nothing else, just this one woman. And it was car after car, people after people. And there were people who were coming with MAGA hats. And there were people who were coming who go, I don't like Donald Trump, but I hate the income tax. It was all kinds, all stripes, all kinds of people at this thing. Because people really want to repeal the income tax, the Democrats' income tax. So I know you want to go to a signing event. I know you want to take pictures with me and Brandy Cruz, and we'll tell you where they're going to be as often as we get invited to go to these things. We will tell you all about it. But for right now, I don't want to roll the dice on this. I want to make sure that we get 500,000 signatures, 1 million signatures. I want to scare the crap out of the Democrats that this one they might actually lose. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to letsgowashington.com. I want you to request signature sheets. It says something like pre-order signature sheets. They're free. They will mail them to you. They even have a return envelope for you to mail it back. And what I tell everybody to do, you request your signature sheets, you stick it in the envelope. You, your spouse, your kids, whoever signs that thing, send it right back. Then the extra sheets they send you, those you go collect more signatures with. Why? Because the longer it takes and the less signatures they have, the more they have to spend money and go out and get them. And in the meantime, the opposition is spending money on ads. We need to save a lot of that money for ads to get the people who don't listen to the Ari Hoffman show to vote to repeal the income tax. So I want you to go to letsgowashington.com. I want you to request signature sheets, but I also want you, if you're able to, think about giving them a donation. Brian Haywood cannot fund this by himself, and last time we lost the advertising war. Your money will be spent well. It will be spent so well. I'm thinking about, hey, maybe we should start doing Spencer Pratt-style AI ads about the income tax. I think that could be fun. Do that. Convince a few people. Look how he's changing the narrative. Look how he's changing the race right now, but we need it for TV ads. We need it for social media ads. We need it for all this because last time they threw $30 million at us to keep the Climate Commitment Act. How much do you think they're going to throw at it this time to keep the income tax in place? So once you go over to letsgowashington.com, I want you to go to letsgowashington.com. I want you to get your signature sheets. And I want you to take the first one and fill it out with whoever's in your house. Send it right back. Then the other ones, you get signatures. And you know what? I'll tell you what. You show up at one of these events with one of your signature sheets. I'll take all the pictures with you want. We'll kiss all the babies and shake all the hands. Or we'll shake all the babies and kiss all the hands. Wait, that don't sound right. No shaking babies. We will not be shaking babies. Somebody brought an adorable baby yesterday. So I love when the kids, when they're first born, and they're a month or two old, and they get that mohawk-looking thing. I love the mohawk. This was a girl, too. She had a mohawk-looking thing up front, and she had a mullet in the back. It was awesome. It was all kinds of party. That baby was adorable. But, yes, you bring your babies. We'll kiss your babies. We'll take the pictures with the babies, whatever it is, but get those signatures in. Go to letsgowashington.com to get those signatures in because we need them. We need those signatures. We really, really do. That way, my friends, that way, we can actually repeal this income tax. That way we can stop the Democrats' agenda. We need your help to repeal the income tax. Go to letsgowashington.com and get the sheets. Because, hey, if you don't go to letsgowashington.com and I get a PDC complaint over this, I'm going to be really, really mad. So head on over to letsgowashington.com to do it right now, my friends. Up next, lots more to discuss as the show continues, including more illegal aliens in our area doing more bad things. And this time, at least the feds are doing something to stop them. We'll give you all the details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Okay, before we get to illegal alien shenanigans and crimes and all that, some of you got some hot takes over on the text line right here. John in Lakewood says, I've been a Bond fan. Lazenby and Craig are the best? That's a take. And then he says this, lost interest after Skyfall. Okay, Skyfall, I would argue, is Daniel Craig's best Bond. And I would actually argue is probably one of my top 5 favorite Bond movies, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the Daniel Craig movies. I think Skyfall is spectacular.
I think, I think the first one, what is it, Casino Royale?
Casino Royale.
I think that's the best one for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Skyfall is like number 2.
Well, I'll say is that Casino Royale grew on me. I had to get used to this new world Bond. And then when the other ones came out, I went back and I'm like, you know what? That wasn't bad at all. In fact, that was actually good.
Yeah.
But Skyfall, I'm like, yes, I went with a buddy of mine to see Skyfall. And the two of us were just sitting there like, this is amazing. If this is the way they're all going to be, this is amazing. And then Spectre came out and we were really disappointed.
Spectre.
That's garbage. I mean, Skyfall, I like. Yeah. I love Skyfall.
And then, so sorry, refresh me again.
Okay.
It goes.
So then there's Casino Royale. And then you got Quantum of Solace, where he's fighting the eco-terrorists.
That was brutal.
It's awful. And the beginning of it was actually really good, that car chase.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, this is what I wanted. Give me the car chase. But then it's like, he's still hung up on the same girl. And he's fighting the eco-terrorists. And I'm like, okay, I don't like eco-Looney Tunes either, but how can you make me like want to root for them because this movie's so terrible? Then I go into Skyfall and I'm like, this is going to suck. This is just going to be terrible. And then it's like, oh my God, this is actually awesome. This is great. Not just awesome, it's great. And then you give me a Spectre, and I'm like, this is terrible. This is rehashing the old ones. This is terrible. Just plain bad. And you even brought in the dude from Inglourious Bastards, and this is bad. And then you gave me the last one, which is Nothing Lasts Forever, Nobody Dies Forever. This is whatever it was. And I'm just like, all right, can we get a new James Bond?
Yeah.
Can we do that, please? So, yeah. Apparently, Rachel Weisz, who's married to Daniel Craig, also said, you know, he can't do these stunts anymore. Like, his body's been abused by these movies. You can't do this to him anymore. So, hot take there, John. But anyway, this one here, Julie, she texted in that she sent $100 to Let's Go Washington. We challenge others to match us. Okay, Julie's calling everybody out here to raise some money for Let's Go Washington. So, head on over there and do that. Okay. Oh, John is now texting in. He doesn't want to be mislabeled here. He says, Skyfall was great and they fell off after. Okay, fair enough, John. Anywho, switching gears here for a second. So, a Guatemalan illegal alien in Oregon was sentenced to over 2 years for, guess what? Guess what? Do you know what they were sentenced for? Not murder. No, not murder. Not trucking, not any of that. Sex crimes. That's right. Oh, and these are child ones, so even worse. Yeah, this is happening with really bad frequency, by the way. According to the Justice Department, a 26-year-old Guatemalan illegal alien living in Oregon has been sentenced to more than 2 years in federal prison for traveling across state lines to sexually exploit a child victim. This is absolutely horrible, by the way. U.S. Attorney Scott E. Bradford announced that Leonidas Juber Ramos Garcia received 30 months behind bars, 5 years of supervised release following his November 18th, 2025 guilty plea to traveling with the intent to engage in illicit sexual contact. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Oregon, the abuse unfolded over several months in early 2025. This was he apparently bribed the victim with cash and sent bad messages. I mean, this is all kinds of bad, and now they're behind bars. Tell me again how we're importing the best and brightest. We got enough problems locally before we talk about the illegal aliens. Vancouver, Washington police have been investigating what appears to be a pedophile ring that has been operating in the state. 3 suspects in the case have been charged. One, allegedly involved in the crimes, killed himself. New court documents in the case reveal that the wife of one of the men charged participated in the abuse. We got enough problems locally with creepers and child predators. Now we have to import them from Guatemala as well? In fact, 3 people have been charged. Involves a doctor, a pediatrician who worked for Kaiser Permanente, allegedly, in Vancouver, Washington, and that's the one who offed himself. These are horrible, horrible, horrible stories that are coming out because of all this. Switching gears to other things that are happening on the left coast, kind of coast adjacent. Did you see the insane video of the 2 U.S. Navy fighter jets that collided in midair at the Mountain Home Air Force Base in Idaho during an air show on Sunday. If you haven't seen the video, everybody survived. Everybody survived, because I know that everybody knows I like snuff videos, okay? I don't like snuff video. I don't like these kind of videos. This is very, very sad. But what you see is, it looks like the Blue Angels.
That is a quote that is going to be dissected and put out by somebody somewhere. You gotta be careful with what you say.
Let me be more careful. I like watching these insane videos, and I usually don't realize somebody actually dies.
There
in
you
them.
go.
Let me clarify that. Yeah. Where I'm watching these videos, I'm like,
so much so you would be like, "Hey man, turn around, look at this video." To people who are out there, and you turn around and you're like, "That's crazy and all," but that person's dead, right?
No, that's usually Zach or Mike would go, you know, that's a person, not a car door on the ground. I'm like, that's a person?
Yeah, we have to remind you oftentimes of like, hey, man, someone's probably dead there, or that is a dead person.
That is a dead person, so don't like it too much. We had to say,
don't show us surprise, show us this stuff anymore, man.
Yeah, we actually have a disclaimer now, like, guys, this may be a snuff video when I do this now, because whatever. Yes, I'm that guy at the office. Anywho, when you're watching this video, you know when the Blue Angels come meet each other in formation, so one comes near it looks like somebody misjudged, and they collided, and then it looks like birds mating in air, where they're locked together and going down together. Now you immediately see 4 mini explosions, which are the punch out, the ejection from the guys in the planes. You see bam, 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 and then you see 4 parachutes. Did you see this thing, Kevin? It is nuts. Everybody survived. It's not a snuff video, but it's crazy.
This is one of those things where either someone sent it to me or where I went to watch it. When I clicked play, it was, you know, sometimes when they embed something from social media, there's like a weird hang up and it'll just like kind of buffer and
load.
And I was like, I got no patience for this.
Yeah.
Like finally after waiting, I was like, I'll get back to it later. I never got back to it. So I got to check it out.
It's a little nuts. It's a little crazy, but thank God everybody's fine. I do have a question of how the trained Growler pilots from right here in Washington, from our base right here at Whidbey, how something like this could happen. I mean, look, accidents happen, especially when you're doing close quarter maneuvers. I get that. But you're watching this from afar going, does he not see the other guy? Do you not know that dude's there? Or maybe you're just thinking to yourself, it's an air show. You know, we do this all the time. I don't know. I'm kind of curious what happened here. It's not a good look. I'll just say that.
I'm always surprised that this stuff doesn't happen more often. Not that I want it to, but I'm just, you know, it's still, you forget how dangerous this stuff is.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, every time we hear, and it doesn't happen that often, but every time you hear a Blue Angel crash, you're like, that's so sad. How can something like that happen? I mean, I guess it was bound to happen eventually, but I mean, you always go through that in your mind.
Yeah, because they do it so many times.
Right.
That, like, you know, numbers alone are like, ugh.
Did you come with us to see the Blue Angels documentary at the IMAX?
I didn't get to see it. I
that
wanted to, but
awesome.
I couldn't make it. Yeah.
I mean, the training these guys go through to be able to do all this is incredible. And I mean, the guys from the Growler unit, they're some of the best. So I kind of want to know what happened here. I mean, I think everybody wants to know what happened here and make sure that this doesn't happen again and that everybody's safe, because the video is just absolutely horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. Up next, my friends, speaking of horrifying, we got terrorists operating right here in Washington, and they are not hiding who they are. In fact, they're admitting it. We still haven't prosecuted them. Can somebody explain to me what's going on? I'll tell you who they are and what they did when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just want to remind everybody that over at KVI.com, we've got all the podcasts, we stream the show, plus we also have brand new articles from me that I haven't shared yet. I haven't done them on the show yet. We always put them up the day before, so if you head on over there, you can see tomorrow's news today. Also, while you're there, sign up to become a KVI Insider, so you're the first one to hear about the new events we are currently working on planning. Now, I spoke about this a little bit earlier in the show. We have two kinds of terror-adjacent people here in Washington. The ones who actually have something to do with terror, and the useful idiots that go out thinking they're going to free Gaza or free Palestine or whatever it is, and are actually supporting terrorists. Those are the two groups we have here. Yesterday, in Seattle, if you were at the Pike Place Market, you might have seen a whole bunch of these Looney Tunes. In fact, when I was walking around today, they left some of their signs up by Seattle Center for whatever terrorists they're trying to free these days. Remember last week we told you about Congressman Adam Smith. Congressman Adam Smith's house has been targeted at 3 a.m. on a regular basis by these radical lunatics. So the Bellevue City Council put in a new ordinance where, thanks to this new ordinance, the radical activists can't go after his house anymore. However, it goes into effect on a certain day, and it's not in effect yet. So now these radical Looney Tunes are holding a rally and press conference at his house tomorrow at 7 p.m., which that means they're going to be there for hours. Now, I got a question here about all this. I know they put this new ordinance in effect, which means you can't target somebody in their residence, but shouldn't we just enforce noise ordinances? Shouldn't we just enforce that kind of stuff? If they're burning flags in his driveway, that's trespassing. That's vandalism of his house is a crime. Why has nobody been charged for the vandalism of his house? Why has nobody been charged with trespassing? Why has nobody been fined for noise ordinances? I mean, I'm fine with this new ordinance in theory, but I'm kind of wondering why the Bellevue Police Department didn't enforce any of this other stuff before then. It's like the thing that's been going on in Seward Park the past few Saturday nights. Thank God I didn't hear it this Saturday night. But for 3 weeks in a row, at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night, you're hearing these big parties happening in Seward Park, and it echoes everywhere in my neighborhood. And when you call 911, one week it was, well, it's Cinco de Mayo. I go, no, Cinco de Mayo's on Monday. Why are we doing this on Saturday night? Another week it was, yeah, well, we can't really do anything about it. Just enforce the law. Just enforce the law. Now, an example of the terrorists. Do you guys remember the Palestine Chronicle? We spoke about them a long time ago. So the Palestine Chronicle is a Washington-based 501c3 that calls itself a news agency and publishes all this anti-Israel, pro-Hamas stuff online. Well, do you remember when some of those Israeli hostages were rescued back in 2024, in June of 2024? The IDF goes into this house, rescues 3 Israeli hostages. And who owns the house? Abdallah al-Jamal, who was killed in the raid. Abdallah al-Jamal wrote for the Palestine Chronicle. So what you're saying is the actual terrorist holding October 7th hostages in his home wrote for the Palestine Chronicle and Al Jazeera. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, it doesn't get more visible than this. The crazy lunatics here are still protesting, claiming a journalist was killed in the war. This is the journalist who was killed. He was a terrorist. He was holding Israeli hostages in his house, holding 3 Israeli hostages in his house. Now, let's not forget, Hamas had been paying Palestinians to hold the hostages. Now, this was something we all saw. This was something we all found out. I don't think we broke the story, but I think we publicized it when we found out about this, and it went everywhere. But the Palestine Chronicle, even though one of its journalists was the one holding Israeli hostages, they are still a 501c3. In fact, here's the crazy thing. They've actually started relocating their paperwork on where their outlet is based shortly thereafter this. Oh, interesting. They started scrubbing this guy and all his articles and anything about him from their website. Oh, no, we had nothing to do with him, even though he wrote an article like 3 days beforehand. Ramzi Baroud, who is the editor-in-chief of the Palestine Chronicle, denied any terror connections at the time, even though he's one of the ones who goes out and speaks at these protests, even though his daughter is involved in a lot of the campus protests, even though this guy is up to his eyeballs in this stuff. And I'm still waiting for something to be done about it. You had a Washington-based 501c3 whose journalist, and I'm using the air quotes for that, was holding Israeli hostages in his house, and they're still a U.S.-based 501c3? There's still a Washington-based 501c3? The Israeli consulate sent letters to Bob Ferguson asking that he investigate this at the time when he was the attorney general. They didn't even get a response to it. So now we're kind of friends with the U.S. attorney. I'm thinking about sending this on over to him because now Ramzi Baroud, who's the editor-in-chief of the Palestine Chronicle, did a little interview the other day. And in this interview on this podcast, admitted that a relative of his was one of the Hamas terror commanders and killed himself in a suicide bombing. Give a listen.
And then Ihab started going to the mosque where Ahmed Yassin was giving lectures. Then I went back to Gaza in 2012 after another Israeli attempt at mowing the grass of Gaza. And I meet Ihab. And Ihab was the head of the northern command of the Izzuddin al-Qassam military arm of Hamas. And
well, hang on. Is there a non-military arm of Hamas? Is there a non-military? So he's one of the commanders of Hamas. This is your relative who you're talking about. One of the commanders of Hamas. Okay, let's keep going here.
The early days of the genocide, you remember that, Chris, when they attacked the Shati refugee camp.
Okay, that never happened, but sure, let's go with this. That's what they say all the time. There's a genocide and they're attacking refugee camps. Sure.
And everybody understood that if this fight for Shati is an easy fight, it's over for Gaza. And my understanding, and I just very recently spoke with his wife at length about this, she said the young people of the resistance were scared. So Ihab had to make the decision of going back to the fighting himself, and he needed to do something so extreme before he dies that he would change the dynamics of the Shati battle. And he did, and I speak about that at length in the book.
Well, explain. He fires. He walks out into the open and fires on an Israeli tank.
That's right. And of course, and after that, he actually blew himself up.
Okay, can we stop right here? Your cousin is one of the heads of Hamas, one of the commanders of the brigade, and he goes and does a suicide bombing no matter how you paint that thing. And you're telling me this outlet isn't up to their eyeballs in terrorism? How do these guys still have a 501c3 based right here in Washington State? When we talk about Hamas supporters, there's Hamas supporters and there's Hamas supporters. This guy is enjoying all the freedoms of America, and his cousin's one of the commanders of Hamas. One of his journalists was holding hostages in his house in Gaza. And you're going to tell me this guy isn't involved in terrorism? If you believe that, I've got 2 bridges running across Lake Washington. I'm going to give you a 2-for-1 sale on them today, and I'll even throw in a light rail line. One of them's just been upgraded. It's got a mostly functional light rail line. I will include that for you as well. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. A big fight in the martial arts world is a bit of a letdown, and people feel kind of ripped off by Netflix. We'll give you all the details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. I love the people texting in their offers to buy the 2 bridges out in Lake Washington. I do like the person who says, what is it like? This is Dan. He says, what's your price for the bridge with the trains? Like $320 million? No, I think Sound Transit blew at least $1 billion on that, but I'm cutting you a deal. So, you know, $320 million ain't bad. Kevin and I will split it. We'll retire off that. That'll be good. I'll still do the radio show. I like radio, right? I think if I had hundreds of millions of dollars, I'd still be doing this. This one here, William theorized that the reason Turd Ferguson didn't do anything about the Palestine Chronicle, which has ties to terror, is because he's supported by the Council for American Islamic Relations, a.k.a. CARE. Exactly. Let's not forget, he did the lawsuit for those guys to stop the travel ban. Switching gears entirely to something a little bit more lighthearted around here. So over the weekend, there was the much advertised fight between Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano. And I was watching the promotions of this thing. I'm not much into the martial arts stuff, but I'm watching this thing and I said, they were in those Fast and Furious movies like 10 years ago. So I got to assume they're not exactly in their prime for this.
Your assumptions are correct. Ronda Rousey is 39 years old. Gina Carano is 44.
Okay. So just right there, I'm thinking to myself, what are we doing here? This is okay. Then in the lead up to it, I don't know what my algorithm is, but I'm seeing Ronda Rousey like training, for real training, like not Rocky in the beginning of Rocky 3, Rocky in the second half of Rocky 3 training, like that kind of training. And I see Gina Carano, look, I'm on the red carpet and look at my new dress here and look at this. I don't really get the same vibe off the Gina Carano. And is she taking this seriously? What are we doing here? So they show up to all these, let's take pictures, let's do the weigh-ins, which I can't believe women agreed to let themselves be weighed, but that's a whole nother thing. They do the weigh-ins, and Gina Carano standing there all like movie star looking, and Ronda Rousey looks ready to Rousey. I mean, that's what she looks like, and she's all tough and ready to go. And I'm like, this ain't going to go well for Gina Carano. I'm just looking at this, and this is an outsider looking at this. And, well, hang on. You want to know exactly how it went? Hang on 1 second. I've got the entire fight here for you. All 20 seconds of it.
The first of a scheduled 5 rounds at 145 pounds. Oh, immediately Rousey takes Carano down, but Carano looking for the guillotine. And Rousey pops her head out in full mount, ground and pound. Rousey looking for the arm, and already the arm, it's over. Mamma mia.
Okay, it was over in 17 seconds. The clip is 18 seconds long. It was over in 17 seconds.
Yeah, Ronda was a one-trick pony when she got into MMA. That was her move. That was immediately get to the takedown and get it to an armbar.
Okay.
And so her early fights went that way because she's so good at judo in that particular series of moves. Secure the takedown, grab the arm, make them tap.
Yeah.
But then as she got in and better and got into the UFC and women's MMA got better, a lot of the women were onto her game. And so when she left the UFC, she was no longer dominant like she was. The women had figured her out. Mm-hmm. So everyone knew if she's going to try and go back to her bread and butter, that's what it was going to be. And with Gina Carano, she's always been a stand-up fighter. She started in Muay Thai, which is all, it's like boxing with kicks, elbows, and knees. That's when she started. When she went into MMA, women's MMA was so young at that time that she was experienced as a woman fighter, period, but mostly in stand-up. So most of her stuff was always going to decision, finessing strikes, that sort of thing. So she was good at striking. And that's the thing. When you're good at striking, you get taken to the ground, game over.
So this now explains a joke to me. In the Entourage movie, when Ronda Rousey takes down Turtle with the armbar, the exact same move, she's doing her signature move, which I don't know anything about this stuff. Now I get the joke a little bit more. But Kevin, you obviously know what you're talking about, this stuff. You're into this stuff. Did this hold any appeal to you at all, or were people in the world just going like this a publicity stunt?
No, not really, because they're both, this is terrible to say or whatever, but in when it comes to fighting, they're both over the hill.
Yeah.
Both of them hadn't fought, I think like Gina hadn't fought in like 14 years or something crazy. So they're both over the hill. They're no longer fighters in that they don't train day to day. The rumors were that Gina Carano lost 100 pounds to make the weight, somewhere around there. she was very drained going into that fight. And the other rumor is that Ronda Rousey had an ankle injury. So some of the memes I saw going around was when they did the weigh-in, people were like, something going on here with Ronda. Does anyone else see this? And you'd go into the comments. It was like, she's got an ankle injury. She's got a knee injury. She's got an ankle injury. So that sort of stuff. But here's the deal. And it's called prize fighting for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Because of they're both well-known. They were both pioneers in this sport. And they both went on to do things pretty successfully in Hollywood.
Yeah.
They've got big enough names. And early on when Rousey was getting, when she was becoming up and coming in MMA, everyone always wondered, well, what would it be like if she fought Gina Carano? And everybody said, that'd be a terrible fight. She'd win. But since they were both big names, both in fighting, and they went into movies and, the Carano thing with the Star Wars stuff, they both have pretty big names. So Netflix knows that they're going to get a lot of eyeballs on this. So that's why it happened.
Right. And then you sell that and you get the people who aren't subscribed to Netflix to become subscribers. But for something like this, I don't get how the pay-per-view model works for Netflix.
It doesn't. It's not pay-per-view.
No, I understand that. But what I'm saying is anytime you sign up for Netflix, you get a 1-week trial period. So they're just hoping you forget to cancel, and enough people forget. Well, I mean, look, I've forgotten to cancel my Planet Fitness membership for like a year now. So I guess they figure enough people forget to cancel their memberships, and they're going to make the money off something like this. Or the clips are tied to their social media, and they're going to get the clicks from the people who watch the clip. I saw that clip everywhere Saturday night.
Yeah.
Literally everywhere. When I came back online, it was everywhere.
And they sell ads around the ring. The whole ring is stamped with all sorts of advertisers, and you'll have in-fight all this stuff. So trust me, if it wasn't worth it for Netflix, they wouldn't be doing it. They wouldn't be doing it. And this stuff with the Jake Paul this was promoted by Jake Paul's promotional company, by the way, MVP.
Gotcha.
So when Jake Paul is usually involved, they had some success with Tyson Fury, they did a reality show with him. He was the former heavyweight champion of the world in boxing. So they've had some of his fights. They only do these big fights that kind of have more of a celebrity lean to it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't usually do fights with like actual good
prize fighting.
Good boxers. Or they did Canelo with Crawford, which was those guys are huge boxing guys, still in their, not in their prime, but still top of their game. That's like the only one that they did that was legit.
Gotcha. So what you're saying is like the Netflix ones are going to be more the celebrity-esque ones, and they're not doing the fights on this. So
very meme friendly and talked about and that sort of stuff. Celebrity adjacent stuff.
Do you think it's diluting the sport, or you think this is how you pay for the other matches or how you get PR for the other matches because of this kind of thing?
I think if you're savvy enough, you know that there's different tiers to this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're in it for pure, the guys at the top of their game or the ladies at the top of their game, you know where to go and get that.
Sure.
And that's just not as popular as kind of these sort of bigger, I don't know how to say it, almost like
the headliner one.
Yeah, and it's almost like it's not celebrity, that's even the word for it, but almost like meme friendly, or you know what I mean, social media friendly.
Right.
This stuff will like get people talking no matter what.
Like me, I'm talking about a sport I know nothing about on my conservative talk radio show.
You probably,
because I saw this stuff. I could not get away from it. This stuff, there is no reason any of this should be in my feeds at all. And yet, I would see Gina Carano training, and the last time I mentioned Gina Carano had something to do with Star Wars. It's not like I'm seeing Gina Carano videos pop up on my feed all the time.
Or with that movie that she did for
Daily Wire. Daily Wire. I definitely do not want to see that one again. And then you got the Ronda Rousey, who the last time I saw her was in a Fast and Furious movie, or maybe Entourage. I forget. I think Entourage came first, then Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
But I'm like, these are not things that should be showing up. She went
into the WWE for a while. She was making money off of that after her movie stuff. She went to pro wrestling. So yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, so I guess Netflix achieved exactly what Netflix was going for. Get people who don't normally watch the sport to talk about it.
I heard it was ranked number 3 on Netflix over the weekend. It popped to number 1 for a second. Yeah, I heard it did really well for them.
I guess wins to Netflix. No matter who wins, Netflix wins. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends, including the DSA's attempted takeover of the Democrat Party. We'll give you all details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show's final hour free for all. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, the ridiculous insanity that Seattle is spending money on for the World Cup and also Iran. I am not happy with the way some of these things are going. But before we get to any of that, my friends, a lot of people think President Trump killed DEI. It's gone. It's dead. It's not coming back. That just ain't true. That is wishful thinking, my friends. Washington State's Office of Financial Management, this is the government, is using your taxpayer dollars to hold the 2026, and I'm reading this from the flyer, DEI Empowerment Conference for government employees. This year's theme is belonging and home, exploring equity through location and migration. So what that means is we're going to be talking about illegal immigrants and how Trump administration shouldn't be stopping the illegal immigrants and we should be helping the illegal immigrants. Is that what it's about? Who is the keynote speaker? Justice G. Helen Whitener. Now, most of you probably have no idea who that is. She's one of our Washington State Supreme Court justices. So, one of our Washington State Supreme Court justices who swore an oath to uphold the law is continuing to help a discriminatory practice of DEI where they're going to be discussing breaking the laws of immigration. Well done. Just well done. Hang on. What does the write-up here say? Join us as we welcome Judge G. Helen Whitener, the first black woman and first black LGBTQIA plus justice on the Washington State Supreme Court and in the nation as our 2026 keynote speaker. Her lived experience as an immigrant and trailblazer makes her the perfect person to anchor this year's theme. And what I'm about to say is super rude, but that doesn't tell me why she's your speaker. Normally, when I want to hear a justice speak, I want to hear about their legal decisions. I want to hear about their legal opinions. That's not what we're hearing about. We're hearing about her lived experience as the first black LGBTQIA plus justice and all this immigrant stuff. That's what we're hearing about. Now, I'm sure that's fine, but you could actually ask one of the people Jonathan Cho found down in California, who's the illegal immigrant LGBTQIA plus people who are getting the trans surgeries from the government, and probably get a similar-ish speech. Now, she came here illegally. I have no reason to believe she came here illegally, but I think the illegal speech would be a little bit more interesting about how they actually got into the U.S. DEI is not dead. It is just hiding out. In fact, it's not even hiding that well. It is here, ready to go, waiting for the moment when it can make a full comeback to levels we haven't seen since, I don't think we've ever seen them. I mean, the Biden administration, things were bad. They're going to get worse. And it's going to get so much worse because you notice all the tech companies falling in line with the Trump administration right now? Don't be fooled by that, my friends. Do not be fooled by that. For them, it's we want to make a profit. How do we make a profit under the Trump administration? Let's do what Trump wants, and then we won't face his wrath. So let's say you get the Newsom administration, or let's say you get the AOC administration, or the Booed Edge administration. It's going to come roaring back with the fire of 1,000 suns. How do I know this? Well, this report here from the Post-Millennial, the president of the Human Rights Campaign, a lobbying group for those that are LGBTQ, has claimed that by 2040, there will be a doubling of the LGBTQ population in the country and that they will be a powerful constituency and will demand that folks who want to represent us represent all of us. The HRC has spent $15 million war chest that it plans to use in the upcoming midterms to help Democrats win the House in Congress. Now do you understand why they're transing the kids? Now do you understand why they're pushing all the kids towards this kind of stuff? To create a voting bloc. The comments came in response to California Governor Gavin Newsom's moderating his stance with male children identifying as transgender and playing in girls' sports when asked by Politico about how Newsom had appeared to change his stance. HRC President Kelly Robinson said, as a baseline, anybody that wants to be president in 2028 needs to stand for civil rights and protections of every person in this country. And yes, that includes trans people. What nobody's been able to convince me about this whole battle over girls' sports, how does this not protect the trans people? How does that put them at risk? It definitely puts the girls at risk who are just trying to play sports without getting killed or horribly injured. But how does this put the trans people, the trans kids, at risk? Quote, look, LGBTQ plus people are a growing demographic. We're going to be 10% of the electorate this year, 20% of the electorate by 2040. We are a powerful constituency, and we're going to demand that folks who want us represent all of us. She laid out her vision going into the midterm elections, as well as for Democrats to get their messaging right for those in the LGBTQ plus community. The group is looking to flip 8 seats currently held by Republicans, and they're looking to spend their $15 million war chest, which is the largest amount they've ever raised before. They also say that the LGBTQ plus are worse off in every way under Trump's presidency. I would love to see exactly how. Now, this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. We knew that DEI wasn't dead. We knew it was just hiding out, and we know it's getting raring to go. But the thing that's surprising to me is about the compromises they're willing to make. So, for example, if you said to me, Ari, we can repeal the income tax. We could repeal the income tax. But it would mean you going and doing events with CARE. I'd say, nope, not going to do it. I got my standards. I'm just not going to do it. Now, mind you, I have nothing to believe that CARE is on the side of this because they get tons of government handouts. So I don't think this would ever happen, but not going to do it. I have my standards. But here, the left has no standards. Who are they allying with? The radical Hamasniks. What do you see out in the streets all the time? Queers for Palestine, LGBTQIA plus minus divided sign for Palestine, whatever it is. You see this stuff all the time. And you think to yourself, are they stupid? They would be thrown off a roof in Gaza if there were any roofs left in Gaza. How can they keep marching with this insanity? But for them, it's about the cause. And they think they have found a fellow traveler. And that's what Barack Obama did when he ran for office in 2012, when he ran for election in 2012. Barack Obama was in big, big trouble. And what he did was he said, I'm going to lose this thing. Obamacare is so unpopular. My policies are so unpopular. I'm going to lose this thing. So what he did is he put together a coalition of disaffected groups, minorities, whatever it was, put together disaffected groups and said, this is who's to blame for everything. If you don't help me win, they're going to win. And then everything's going to be bad for all of you. It never really went away. Out of that, you saw Ferguson, not Turd Ferguson, but you saw BLM come to the forefront. You saw all these other radical groups come to the forefront that normally were fringe. Now they've become mainstream. And this coalition that Barack Obama put together is the Democrat Party now. Nobody wants to be on the wrong side of them. Barack Obama created his foot soldiers and used them. They lost in 2016 because there was such a bad reaction to Hillary Clinton and there was such a bad reaction to Barack Obama. But they didn't go dormant. That group wasn't voting for Hillary Clinton because of the 4 years between 2012 and 2016. That group didn't moderate at all. That group just got more and more radical. Antifa saw an opportunity. BLM saw an opportunity. All these different groups saw an opportunity, and they said, this is our moment. And we have found our guy. In the most useless politician who has ever walked the earth, Senator Bernie Sanders, the independent from Vermont. Does he even have his name on any legislation whatsoever? And he's been literally sitting as a senator for what? Two quarters of a century? Half a century? How long has he been in there for? He has accomplished nothing. He does nothing. And somehow he's a millionaire living off the public dime for the last 50 years. Somehow the guy's a millionaire. And this is their hero? This is their champion? Because Bernie Sanders knew how to speak to the disaffected group. Bernie Sanders knew what they wanted to hear. What they wanted to hear was free healthcare. Everybody's going to have the free healthcare. Healthcare is a human right. What else is free? We'll give them free pizza, free naps, early bird specials, whatever it is. That's what Bernie Sanders said. He said whatever these disaffected groups want. Or it was anti-Israel, anti-American, pro-socialism. That's what he believes in. Bernie Sanders has never had a real job in his life. He was so lazy. He got thrown off a communist commune. That's how lazy he was. He got kicked out of the place. He has accomplished nothing in his life except his messaging is now what the young folks are saying. His messaging is now the litmus test with which Democrats judge all candidates. This far left radical insanity. And you're seeing more and more candidates go to the left. But worse than that, you're seeing candidates who are already left being challenged by even more far left because they're not left enough. Democrat Adam Smith being challenged by Shama Sawant. Shama Sawant sees an opportunity. She thinks she can rally the far left radicals. I don't think she can. I don't think they like her. I don't think unions like her. I don't think a lot of people like her. But if she actually gets to the final two, it'll be interesting to see which groups actually do rally behind her. You want to know who's now the Democrat Party? And this is messed up. You know, here we have certain local, well, they call themselves journalists, so I'm going to call them journalists too. You have journalists who are fighting on the side of the far left violent radicals, who are doing PR for them, who are doing spin for them, doing everything in their power. Well, two of these far left radicals, not the ones from here, but ones who remind me a lot of the ones from here, were outside the courthouse for the Luigi Mangione trial. This is the guy who killed the head of a major healthcare organization, healthcare company, killed him. And they're out there supporting Luigi Mangione, out there thinking this guy, Brian Thompson, deserved to die because he ran a healthcare company. They have hanging around their necks while they're being interviewed. And the reason I didn't pull the clip is because there's too many F-bombs and poor Kevin had to deal with enough F-bombs today. This is a lot of cussing. There's almost no words there, just a lot of cussing. These are two accredited journalists by Mamdani to be there. Two accredited journalists are there talking about how it's a good thing and they're supporting the murderer. Look, you don't like the guy? Fine. You don't like his policies with regard to healthcare? Fine. But you're backing a murderer? And these are two accredited journalists. I do remember there were two journalists who now no longer work for The Stranger. One of them tweeted, "Make America aim again," the day that Donald Trump was almost assassinated in Butler, Pennsylvania. And the other one shared it and made some dumb comment of her own. These two were on the freeway with the Hamasniks when they shut down I-5 on January 6th of 2024. These two, they haven't found a riot they haven't liked yet. These two. I wouldn't be surprised if these two had the cash, if they went out there and they were the ones saying these outrageous comments. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. But it's crazy to me that this whole far left ideology is now drifting over to terrorism. But I guess it shouldn't be surprising. If they're okay with violence of Antifa, of BLM, if they're okay with killing somebody who you disagree with over their health care, it shouldn't surprise anybody that they're drifting into terrorist town. They just don't realize that they're being used as the useful idiots by the terrorists. Over the weekend, you saw all these protests in New York City. You saw protests here in Seattle for the Nakba. What's the Nakba? The Nakba in Arabic means the disaster. What's the disaster? In 1948, after Israel was declared a state, every Arab country surrounding them decided to attack to try and drive the nation of farmers and Holocaust survivors into the sea, from the river to the sea. And then what happens is they lose. They lose. So they call it a disaster that they couldn't carry out their genocide. These groups who organized these events to commemorate the Nakba, including here in Seattle, are funded by far left activist groups. Fox News had a whole expose on these guys. In New York City, the People's Forum, a pro-communist activist hub, and 501c3 nonprofit funded by a Marxist tech mogul named Neville Roy Singham, made signs and an art build for a protest for the Nakba. Their Marxist comrades within the Party for Socialism and Liberation went out across the country to go against Israel. Senator Marsha Blackburn, Republican of Tennessee, a member of the Senate Judiciary and Finance Committee, told Fox News that she is concerned about the Chinese Communist Party its sympathizer using U.S. nonprofit industry to create an infrastructure to pull people together to undermine the United States. We literally saw it when we were talking about the Palestine Chronicle. The Palestine Chronicle, a Washington-based 501c3 whose journalist was holding hostages in Gaza. She says there are no limits to what the Chinese Communist Party will do to create chaos in the United States. For almost a decade, Singham has funneled $278 million into a network of nonprofits, including the People's Forum, Code Pink, those are those old biddies that run around yelling at congresspeople, Breakthrough Media, which have organized a steady wave of anti-Israel protests in the United States, particularly after the October 7th massacre. A Fox News investigation identified the flow of Singham's money into nonprofits, promoting propaganda of the Chinese Communist Party and the U.S. Treasury. Justice, State Department officials are investigating their funding structures and operations in the U.S. Lawmakers in the House Judiciary Committee are also investigating the Singham Network and the nonprofits it supports for possibly violating laws that require agents of foreign interest to register with the Justice Department, as well as other improprieties. This is the tip of the iceberg, my friends. And this is fanning out, spreading out across the U.S. We have seen it over the last 3 years. They are using Gaza and Israel war as a linchpin, or excuse me, I should say as a wedge, to divide everybody over this issue. And they're having some success with it. But they're working together with the Chinese Communist Party, working together with far left activist groups. These people do not realize that they are useful idiots, or maybe they do because they just want to see the communist revolution come here because then everybody's equal. These are scary, scary, scary times we are living in right now. And I wonder why the Justice Department isn't making a harder crackdown on this. But worse yet, how many Democrats realize what's going on, but are so desperate to hold on to a little sliver of power, so desperate they will go along with anything. And when I think about people who are desperate, I think about people like Kathy Hochul. Kathy Hochul is a moderate Democrat. She's a governor of New York. But she is so desperate of Zoran Mamdani turning his people against her that she endorsed him. He wouldn't endorse her. And now she gave him the billions of dollars he wants to bail out New York City because of his bad policies. Zoran Mamdani was speaking at the opening, or excuse me, the proposed site of one of his grocery stores. It's going to cost $30 to $40 million when a normal grocery store to open up costs around $3 to $7 million. He's speaking at this thing, and then he says this.
I cannot help but think of the words of our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. He famously said, "The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are I'm from the government and I'm here to help." It's a good quote, but I disagree. I think 9 more terrifying words are actually, I worked all day and can't feed my family.
An actual communist refuting the words of the guy who defeated communism in the 1980s. Those words are even more terrifying now than they were beforehand. And you're listening to a guy who's not just a communist, but is also an Islamic extremist. This is a guy who spent the weekend posting about the Nakba, posting about the disaster. This is a guy who supports Hamas. The head of the capital center of our country, New York City, the elected mayor, is a communist Islamist. So tell me that infiltration isn't already happening at some of the highest levels of our government. We live in scary, scary times, my friends. We really, really do. Up next, local officials are really our useful idiots because our useful idiots here are spending a whole bunch of money on new public toilets. So really just flushing that money down the toilet? We'll tell you all about that and Katie Wilson's other insanity that she's planning for the World Cup when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder so that you never miss a minute of the show. Remember to subscribe to our podcast on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. While you're there, rate and share it so that way your friends can get in on the fun as well. So I saw this picture Saturday night when I came back online of Katie Wilson, Teresa Mosqueda, Rob Saka, and a few other Seattle-ish people who were cutting toilet paper in front of new public bathrooms for the World Cup. Because the city of Seattle, this is going to sound like a parody, and it's not, announced it is partnering with, I kid you not, Throne Labs to install 4 solar-powered public restroom units in Pioneer Square as part of a 1-year pilot program tied to downtown revitalization and the World Cup preparations. So hang on. This isn't World Cup money we're wasting. This is regular Seattle taxpayer money we're wasting this time on public restrooms in Pioneer Square. High-tech public restrooms in Pioneer Square. I will take you back in time to 2003, 20 plus years, when a young Ari Hoffman was hanging out with some friends in Pioneer Square and came across one of these contraptions. And it was a disgusting, drug-infested, needle-infested commode because it's a public restroom. And these things were so terrible that the city of Seattle, after dropping $5 million on a few of these things, ended up selling them on eBay for pennies on the dollar.
Those things were weird looking too. I remember walking past them once, and I remember thinking, I kind of want to go in there and see what that's like.
You know what it looked like? It was a combination of the doors on the Enterprise D from Next Generation and the opening of HBO in the 80s when you would spin around that inner circle thing at the end of it. Right. When you would go, that's what it, the doors opened in this weird way. You remember this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go in. I saw one. I was like, hey, I'm curious. I'm kind of terrified because, but it was either in use or they had locked it up. So I never actually had a chance to use one of those things.
Yeah, you didn't miss anything because I walked in and they had these signs on them that were like self-cleaning. I'm like, this thing looks like it used to self-clean, but it doesn't anymore.
The self-cleaning is like, does it hose itself down with like alcohol afterwards? It mists it or something?
Whatever it did, the reason it had that weird door structure was so that when you left, it could do whatever it did on the inside. And I remember thinking to myself, there's no way that thing still works. However long ago. And it turns out they were only installed like the year before. They weren't that old at the time, but Pioneer Square is always going to be Pioneer Square, right? Pioneer Square, that ain't ever going to change. It has been that way since Seattle was founded. Every place has its neighborhood like that. If they cleaned up all of Seattle tomorrow, if Rudy Giuliani himself was elected to clean up and do broken windows on Seattle and it worked, Pioneer Square would still be Pioneer Square. Just like Harlem was still Harlem. Just like Spanish Harlem, still Spanish Harlem. Just like the Washington Heights, still the Washington Heights, no matter what.
I got bad news for you. If he was elected in the state he's in today,
yes, nothing would happen. No, I don't think whoever the deputy mayor is might have a better shot at getting that stuff done. So here in Seattle, we are spending $116,000 on each of these suckers. $116,000 on these solar-powered toilets, which... Is that for the lights? Is that for the heat, for the water?
I went to the M's game yesterday.
Yeah.
And my wife pointed over and she said, hey, look, those are those bathrooms they installed. There's 2 of them sitting over there. But we're in such a hurry. I was like, I really should go and use that and
just for the experience, because Ari's going to want to hear about it on the show.
Yeah. Saw a couple of them right down there by kind of by Lumen.
Well, I'm kind of excited because I'm taking a group to the Mariners on Father's Day. I'm taking a big group from the synagogues. We're going to go down there, and I'm going to get there early just so I can see what state those things are on after they've been out in the wild for a little bit. So they open this weekend, right? And you're going to have a couple World Cup games by then, right? A few things will have happened by then. So I want to see exactly what our unsheltered neighbor population, as well as our visiting neighbors, will have done to these things. Katie Wilson, Seattle's socialist mayor, said today is the first step to delivering on Seattle's #1 and #2 priority. Sorry. Does she know what she said there? She actually said that. Does she realize? Does somebody have a fun sense of humor about this? I mean, they're cutting toilet paper. If you're talking about improving her image, The toilet jokes ain't the way to do it. It doesn't make her seem more accessible. It just makes us go, really? Really? I think if somebody else had delivered those remarks, I would have giggled. It didn't have to be a guy. I think if Teresa Mosqueda would have delivered those remarks, and I got no love for Teresa Mosqueda. I think if she had,
Ferguson.
Definitely not him. I actually, you know what? For him, I would have laughed, but his staff was smart enough not to put him there because they know that would have been fodder for us. He was at the bus thing. He wasn't at the toilet thing, I noticed, because they know putting the governor in front of a bunch of toilets is not a good look. Flush the turd.
What about that Amtrak thing? Didn't that happen over the weekend too?
What Amtrak thing?
They brought in the new train in town to get a look at the. You didn't hear about that?
No, but I will now look it up for tomorrow so we can look at the new Amtrak train.
I saw a press release on these new futuristic Amtraks, and one of them was supposed to be making it into town. I thought over the weekend, but maybe not.
Does it have a number 1 and number 2 priority also on the Amtrak train? Does it have that available? Because the bathrooms on Amtrak ain't that pretty. Well, just those are horrifying.
Oh yeah, I mean most of those trains are so old now too.
Those are horrifying. You could say this is where my grandfather went to the bathroom in those trains. So. She says after her number 1 and number 2 priority, it's a simple solution to address one of our most basic human needs and a step toward creating a more livable and welcoming city for everybody. You know, I'm all in favor of public restrooms, but the amount of money you're dropping on these things, Viet Q Win actually had a whole write-up on this. He writes, Seattle's new Pioneer Square toilets cost $9,700 a month each versus $250 a month with weekly cleaning for a basic porta potty rental. So you're spending $9,700 a month when you could be spending $250 a month for porta potties. And by the way, Honey Bucket, they come and clean those suckers every now and again. You see the trucks driving around, and I always say, man, that's a crap job. But I'm sure they pay pretty well for dealing with that all day long. But that's what those guys do. So you basically got glorified porta potties, right? That's what it is. The bathrooms, some are equipped with ADA accessibility features. Hey, let's be fair. I've seen the ADA ones for the Honey Buckets. They have those as well. Touchless sinks and toilets. Baby changing stations. Oh, the baby changing stations. That's great. So when you put down your drugs, you can lay it all right there on the baby changing station. Do everything you got to do right there. This is going to be great, right? They say they're going to be monitored continuously. Kevin, in your mad dash, did you happen to notice if anybody was monitoring the restrooms, or was it just, well, there they are. They're right there.
I mean, there's a ton of people wandering around down there at that time.
Day.
So
I
don't know who was over there being was on turlet duty. I don't know.
Turd duty. That's what we're going to call it. We're going to call that Turd Ferguson staff right now. Who's on turd duty today? No. Oh my God. This is what we call his Washington State Patrol Protection Detail. That's who's on turd duty today. That's right. Who has to clean the latrine today? Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. When we come back, what the hell is going on in the Middle East? Are we going to win this thing, or are we just going to sit around for a little while? Give you my analysis when we come back. You'll listen to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KBI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, check out KVI.com. Got some new articles up there. Also, you can subscribe to our podcast. You can follow us on social media. That way you can see what's going on even when we are not on air. You can also sign up to become a KVI Insider while you're over there. So that way you find out about all the events we got going on. All good stuff happening. Saw this tweet from U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. And usually Scott Bessent is the guy I go to if I have questions about what's going on with the government's money or how a conflict is going or any of that. I love Scott Bessent. And I was horrified by this tweet that I saw. He said, U.S. Treasury is issuing a temporary 30-day general license to provide the most vulnerable nations with the ability to temporarily access Russian oil currently stranded at sea. This extension will provide additional flexibility, and we will work with these nations to provide specific licenses as needed. This general license will help stabilize the physical crude market and ensure oil reaches the most energy vulnerable countries. It will also help reroute existing supply to countries most in need by reducing China's ability to stockpile discounted oil. I don't know about this one, guys. I really don't know about this one. And the reason for that is we're funding Russia. So are you saying it's better to buy the Russian oil than the Iranian oil? This is not good. I don't think this is good. I don't think this is a good move here. I understand it's stranded at sea and nobody's using it, so you figure we might as well use it for people who need it. But then are those vulnerable countries sending help to the Strait of Hormuz? Are those vulnerable countries doing anything to help us out? Why are we helping them out? I don't understand this. We're funding Russia, which means now we're funding Ukraine and we're funding Russia. Are we out of our minds? What are you doing here? You think this is a net positive because you're going head-to-head with China? Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it. I'm really not happy with the developments going on in the Middle East. So today, President Trump announced that he was delaying the strike that was supposed to hit Iran today. He said that he was approached by Qatar, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia, and they said, we're close to a deal, back off, don't blow them up yet. And what I'm concerned about is that Iran did this for 47 years. 47 years. They screwed around with negotiations so they could get a nuclear weapon. They suckered Barack Obama. They suckered Joe Biden or whoever's running Joe Biden. We did this for years. Look, the truth is Republicans and Democrats allowed Iran to become the power it is. Ronald Reagan should have taken care of this as soon as it happened. As soon as he came into office, should have solved this problem. Got the hostages back right away. So why couldn't he deal with the rest of it? No Ayatollah. We're taking that out. Didn't do that. They've been building up their strength for years. You think they're not rearming right now? You think they're not getting it through land somewhere through it being snuck across the border? We don't have boots on the ground. We're not controlling their border access. So President Donald Trump said Monday that Gulf allies had asked him to put off an attack on Iran for a few days because they felt they were close to a deal with Tehran. Quote, well, other countries have come to me and they've said we were getting ready to do a very major attack tomorrow. He said, I put it off for a little while, hopefully maybe forever, possibly for a little while because we've had very big discussions with Iran and we'll see what they amount to. I was asked by Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and some others if we could put it off for 2 or 3 days, a short period of time, because they think that they are getting close to making a deal. And that if we can do that, there's no nuclear weapon going into the hands of Iran. Okay, I trust the UAE. I don't trust Saudi Arabia, and I don't trust Qatar. So already I have questions with this. Already I have questions. Look, if they say, hey, we're going to take over your country and we're going to invade if this falls through. But right now, what I'm worried about is this is dragging and dragging and dragging, and we got the midterms coming up. We could have finished the job right now if we weren't doing this. We could have had their oil right now and been selling it on behalf of the United States of America or turned it over to one of our partners in the Middle East. We shouldn't be dealing with these lunatics anymore. They have stalled out these negotiations for what, 5-6 weeks now? And that whole time, gas prices, oil prices are really, really high. And Americans are paying the price for that. And as much as I think that's a price worth paying, I don't think we should be dragging it out longer than we have to. I don't think the negotiating is going to get you anywhere. And if I am wrong, I will eat crow on the show when I am wrong. But for right now, we keep dragging this out. We got the midterms coming up. And the average American who doesn't listen to the Ari Hoffman show is saying, why is my stuff so expensive? because of this war. And they are buying the Democrats' propaganda that it is a war of choice, that it is Trump's war, even though we all know it's not. And they are saying to themselves, why are we doing this? And they are going to vote for the Democrats in the midterm. Now, it takes political courage to do what Trump is doing, because if he loses in the midterms, his entire agenda is shut down. His entire agenda is shut. And he thinks he's doing the right thing by doing the negotiations rather than doing the blow these guys off the map. I guess part of the calculation is if you blow everybody off the map, who's left to negotiate with? How do you actually deal with this? Is this stopping us from sending boots on the ground? Is that the next step we have? Is sending in boots on the ground? Is that all we have? Why can't you get one of the partners who wants the oil to do it? Why can't you get the Emirates or Saudi Arabia or Qatar to do it? As nice as they are for giving us airplanes we don't really need, send in Qatar. You want the oil so bad? You want to be part of this so bad? Because it's always us, the United States, who has to pay with the blood and treasure. So how about one of our partners go get Karg Island and we end this thing? How about some of our partners help clean out the Strait of Hormuz and we end this thing? How about we do that? I'm a little concerned about the fact that now we're buying Russian oil and this thing is dragging on more and more. I say finish the job. What do you think? You give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. This one here from Dan Smith. He said, I heard Zoran Mamdani's little lunatic fringe speech, the one where he was adjusting Ronald Reagan's remarks. It absolutely enraged me. Besides the communist, extremist, jihadist, red-green Marxist ideology applying Alinsky's rules. He wasn't born here. He wasn't alive to experience the Reagan era and economic boom. He has no place claiming association with the Gipper and his statements. Exactly. This one here from the 206, Ari, the average American doesn't remember 47 years ago. The kids simply don't understand. Nick from the 206. Here we go. Kevin, here's your Amtrak answer. The only reason we have the ancient Amtrak cars running on the Cascades corridor is because of the 2017 DuPont wreck. These new Aero train sets will replace the ancient cars from the last century. That's what he says. I don't know what that has to do with the train wreck, but now it seems like I need to study up more on this. John in Auburn suggests, Ari, how's your Roto-Rooter sponsorship for the Turd Ferguson clips going? Which I think, hey, if there's a plumber out there that wants to sponsor the Ari Hoffman Show, and we guarantee we will talk about flushing all the turds you want. When we talk about Turd Ferguson, we are more than happy to have your business. Absolutely. This one here from the 360. DEI and CRT are still being taught in Washington State schools. Yes, we know this. I've heard from my young family members, nieces and nephews. Yes, and that's exactly why we have so many radical organizations promoting these kind of events. Pam in Lake Stevens says, don't delay much longer in Iran. Finish the job. John says, Ari, you're right. Trump should blow them up while Qatar and Emirates take Karg Island without further ado. Iranian unconditional compliance and surrender. Exactly. That's what I think also. Up next, only good news to wrap up the show. Your good news headlines put a smile on your face heading into your evening commute. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Only good news to wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Before we get to our good news, got some texts here. Nick from the 206 says, regarding the Amtrak story, we became short on equipment after the wreck. With the Talgo 6 set retirements, one was involved in the wreck and have been using ancient Amtrak cars since, supplementing the remaining Talgo 8 sets. Well, thank you, Nick. Now I got some homework to do tonight. I don't like not knowing about things, so I got to do some reading up. That's a good starting point. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate this. 12th Man for Life says regarding Iran, finish the job now. This is bad for the people with common sense. Yes, that's what we got to do. Finish the job now. We all want the job finished. Finish the job now. This is what we got to do. As always, Pam in Lake Stephen says, don't delay much longer, my friends. Finish the job. Finish the job. That's what I'm saying. Stop negotiating with terrorists. What happened to the guys in movies? We don't negotiate with terrorists, who always then end up negotiating with terrorists. Can we not negotiate with the terrorists? Good news here. Pizza Hut franchises across the U.S. are converting to Pizza Hut classic locations, as the chain has vowed to bring back the nostalgia of the restaurant's classic look in 2026. 80 locations are set to be turned into classic-style franchises this year. That's awesome. I could never eat the Pizza Hut. I always want to go to the Pizza Hut because they just looked awesome. Are you bringing back the video games too? Tim Sparks, the president of the Dayland Corporation, a major franchisee of Pizza Hut, said they will be converting 80 locations to the retro design per wide-open county. Sparks' first job was as a dishwasher at Pizza Hut, and he has wanted to revive the old retro look to what they once had. Pizza Hut locations are required to have classic gabled roof, so locations likely are not able to just rent out modern architectural space, must have a custom build. The interiors are also true to the classic style of the restaurant, namely having red cups, stained glass lights, a jukebox, as well as a salad bar. I do like the kosher restaurants that tried to do the knockoff versions of those. We had video games in ours. We had Pac-Man, and we had F1 Racer. I remember those at a few of the places that tried to do that. They said people come from 2-3 hours away, and I'm not making that up, he says about his classic locations. Human Events Daily host Jack Posobiec has referred to the phenomenon as Pizza Hut nationalism. In a post he made over the weekend on the topic, he said 4 years ago this month, Pizza Hut nationalism was born. And now it's coming to fruition as foretold. The golden age shall commence. One customer at a classic location said when you finally find something that tastes how you genuinely remember tasting, you can't let go. I mean, does it taste that different? Was the food different too, or just the decor? I mean, I know from the kosher Pizza Huts in Israel, they're on that conveyor belt thing. Did they used to make them that way, or is that relatively new? Are they going back to the old style along with everything else? That's my question. I have many questions about the Pizza Hut. I'll have to figure out the answers to those. Meanwhile, Seattle Refined did a story on a building many of you have seen before. We were talking about Quantum of Solace before, that awful James Bond movie. So this actually looks like the bad guy headquarters from it. If you've been driving on I-5 South, you may have seen this building covered in moss. It looks kind of pretty, but you're not sure if somebody's using it or not. According to Seattle Refined, if you've driven along I-5 or Highway 18 Federal Way, chances are you've spotted it. The massive ivy-covered building tucked into the trees looks mysterious, almost hidden in plain sight. Some people mistake it for a golf driving range. Others barely notice it at all. But the former Weyerhaeuser corporate headquarters is actually one of the most unique and iconic buildings in the Pacific Northwest. A property deeply tied to Washington history, architecture, and industry. The building hits every check mark for being beloved. It's iconic to our region, said Pretty Gritty Tours guide Chris Stoutinger. Currently, it's empty. When Weyerhaeuser moved up here out of Seattle, ever going north, they sold the building to Industrial Real Estate Group, which is holding on to it until they figure out how it will be developed again.
How did you say that again? Who owned it?
Pretty Gritty Tours.
Yeah, who owned it was corporate headquarters for who?
Weyerhaeuser?
Weyerhaeuser,
thank you.
My dad used to work for Weyerhaeuser.
It's Weyerhaeuser. Then why don't they spell it Weyerhaeuser as opposed to Weyerhaeuser? For fool transplants like me, I sound like a damn fool when you say it wrong.
Big company. My dad used to drive log stackers at a mill for Weyerhaeuser down in Toutle.
Okay. And this was their corporate headquarters.
Have you seen it?
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I know exactly. When I saw the thing, it was one of those, hey, have you ever wondered about that building on I-5? And I'm like, I will take your clickbait. I will take it and I will find out, because it looks like the bad guy's place from Quantum of Solace. That movie sucked, but that's what it looks like.
It totally does.
You ever been inside?
Not in a desert.
You ever been inside? You ever check it out?
No, not. I was really young when my dad worked for Weyerhaeuser.
Weyerhaeuser. Sound like a damn fool when you say it wrong. Weyerhaeuser.
But it is a cool look. I'm always thinking like that's got to be kind of cool, but now it's just got to be just run down.
Well, that's the thing.
So much stuff.
Here's the crazy thing about it. They maintain the garden outside it, but not the building itself. So they have a bonsai garden outside, which you can take a tour of, but not the building, which is an interesting play there. This is what the article actually talks about. They say that in the 1960s, the headquarters was intentionally designed to blend into the surrounding landscape. Covered in greenery, surrounded by forest, the structure almost disappears into nature, which it does. I mean, you see it from the freeway, but because it's so overgrown, it looks intentional. It doesn't look unintentional, this whole thing. So they say visitors are not allowed inside the building, but you can walk around the campus and you can see the bonsai stuff. That's what they let you see.
I knew for a while I saw people would go for a jog and you could jog around there and all that stuff because there's trails around there and all that. But I've always been curious. That company was a huge company. And like I said, my dad used to work for them. But it's, I guess it's the wood industry, logging and whatnot.
Well, no, they're still in business. They just don't work there anymore.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying is the company isn't. It was a big deal when that thing was built out, right?
I gotcha.
It's not such a big deal anymore. And, if they were, my old man would probably have still been working there. But no, he left.
I gotcha.
They were not doing so hot.
Not doing so great.
Yeah.
Pivoting to something else, you might
Correct.
say. So they do have the Pacific Bonsai Museum and the Rhododendron Species Botanical Gardens, which are on site and still maintained. So you can apparently go check all this out. It's 430 acres of that kind of stuff. You can go see. You can take the Nitty Gritty or whoever Gritty's tour. You can go check that out. And you can go see the building. You can see the bonsai stuff. So it's all still growing there. You could be like Danielson. You could reenact the Karate Kid right there with the bonsai tree, where I think that third movie really lost the plot, where it became all about the tree and not about the karate. And I'm like, yeah, nobody really cares about your stupid tree, Danielson.
I loved it, man.
No. I love Terry Silver.
Terry Silver is fantastic in that movie.
The tree stuff was so... Yeah, Mr. Miyagi, we're going to make our living selling trees. I bought this place for you with my college money, Mr. Miyagi. No, I'm fine with Terry Silver and Mike Barnes. I'm fine with all that.
I'm not telling you it's a good movie anyway, none of it. But I'm just saying Thomas Ian Griffith, who plays Terry Silver, he showed up for that movie. He knew exactly what movie he was in.
He understood the assignment, you might say.
Yeah.
Did you see the TV show where he shows up? Because he's just as unhinged. It's just as much fun. That's going to do it for us today, my friends. But fear not, we'll be back tomorrow with more insane stories and more exciting guests. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.